Going on, family? What's going on? Welcome to Sage Talk on the Lapeef Network. So make sure you guys get them likes up. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Shout out to the sponsor, Teej Handley. Make sure you guys fill the Teej. That link is in the description. 30% off along with a free gift. See what we got going on in the chat. Green Gang, I see you in the chat early. See y'all extra early. Shamar Lawrence became a member on the last show. If you guys haven't seen it, you guys should go and catch the replay. But it was another great show on Lapeef and Sundays. We just finished that up. But now it's time for Sage Talk with Lee. So with all due respect, let me bring up the man of the hour himself. Get the likes up, y'all. Get the likes up. Bring Lee to the stage. What's going on, Lee? You on mute, just so you know.
Hey, Gerald. Good afternoon. How are you?
Thanks, man. I woke up this morning.
That's always a good day.
Yeah, and then I get the chance to experience Sage Talk with Lee. So what more can a man ask for?
Hey, no problem. I'm here to please.
No, there you go.
Hey, everybody. How you guys doing today?
All right, Lee, I'm going to go ahead and cut out, let you do your thing, sir. Appreciate you. Have a great
Much
show.
appreciated.
I'll be dropping the link shortly for you guys. So if you want the opportunity to cam up, because you must be on cam, come on up and dive into the conversation with Lee. All right, Lee, I'm out here.
Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. How you doing? Welcome to another edition of Sage Talk. Well, as you guys know, there's been a lot of conversation about the whole SYSBM situation, and there have been many perspectives. And definitely from my point of view, particularly since I have done quite a bit of travel, have traveled in Central America, have traveled in Africa, and about the United States as well, I thought I could also add a perspective to this conversation. One thing I would say is that I find it very adolescent that men are telling other men where they can go to find the pleasures or the outcomes that they want out of life. I find that to be very adolescent. That's kind of like teenage stuff. Don't go here, come over here with me. Yo, are you a punk for going over there? But to think that every man that travels overseas is somehow lacking in his ability to have women or be with women in the United States I think that is nonsensical, because men make choices for so many different reasons, for the reasons why they might want to choose one thing over another. But I would say, with regard to the American culture is a very unique culture. And American culture in Black America is more unique than the broader American culture in the United States. So, as that pertains to dating, I think we have a very unique dynamic within ourselves how we date, both Black women and Black men. And from the perspective where women in general have had an advantage for the past 50 or more years, or some might even say 60 years, they have used that advantage, whether it be through feminism, womenism, or just overall general rights and opportunities within the society. They have changed the landscape, and the change have been significant. It hasn't been a small change. Women's power have continued to rise throughout society, and both Black women and white women, for that matter, and they have been setting the tone to the new rules of dating. They have changed the rules to suit themselves. Unfortunately, they still want the best the best men to provide and spend money on them. That hasn't changed. So in a sense, there are some basic things as it pertains to the patriarchy that women do prefer. And in reality, that is a standard around the world with regard to women wanting men to provide. In different countries, those standards may fluctuate. But in general, when a man goes out into society and he takes a woman out, it's expected that he will carry the bill. He'll pay the freight. Now we know that most countries that are non-Western, whether it's in the Latin countries or in the Eastern countries or the Mediterranean East, Middle East countries, those are patriarchal by nature. They have maintained the old traditional ways of patriarchy. And I don't think that those countries hate women. They love their women, and they protect their women, and they take care of their women. The problem that I find is that femininity is something that has become a negotiable asset in Western countries, and in particularly in America. When you go overseas, femininity is on full display. A woman is sensitive, they're caring, they communicate with you to the degree that they're interested in you, they will communicate with you very openly. Not so much in the US. In the US, those standards have changed. Femininity is like on demand, almost like a cable service that's provided by Comcast. You have to pay for it on demand. And to the degree of how much of it you get may determine how much you can pay. That's negotiable to some people, but nonetheless, if you want a woman that's not masculine, that you don't have to subdue, like the other night, 3 or 4 days ago, I was on another channel and we were having a conversation, And one of the guys said on that channel that you have to be able to subdue a black woman. So I was like, what do you mean subdue a black woman? Like, you mean like if you have a dog, you got to train her, got to teach her to sit, stay, obey? That's crazy because women today said that they want to be treated with some level of respect. And I understand that. That's a normal human thing. But if you have to break a woman mentally in some way to get her to submit to you, that's a whole different conversation. You should be able to talk to a woman, express to you, express to her what you want out of that relationship or that encounter. And if she's down with you, she'll say yay or nay. If it's a long-term relationship you're looking for, you take it stages by stages. You get to know each other, you go out, you date for a while. Obviously, sex will play into that relationship at some point. And then you see if that relationship have legs. If it does, it can continue. If it doesn't, you know, nature will take its course and each individual will move on. I just think that men are not looking for a lot of the psychological head games that women play today. If you can't just express yourself without trying to figure out what's her next move, it becomes too time consuming and time wasting, especially for individuals who, got it going on. Men who are successful or moving towards success, they're multitaskers, they're cognizant of their time, they're aggressive, they've tasted what it's like to win. And if you've ever won something in life, you know what that feels like. And you want to be able to replicate that as often as you can. One thing you don't deal with when you're dealing with women overseas, you're not dealing with an adversarial partner or person. That's like a US phenomenon where the person you're dating is like an adversary to you and you have to like conquer them. Yes, there is a mating dance, but the mating dance is not where you have to literally break the woman like she was a stallion and you have to ride her until she breaks in. No, there's a whole different dynamic when you're dealing with women from other countries. And I think the fact that brothers in mass are now experiencing that and coming back and talking about what that experience have been like. I mean, obviously, the sexual piece is a big piece because maybe some men have not had a woman be so open to them before without you being so prying to get her to open up, where you can just sit down, have a conversation, and if a woman is into you, next minute you know she's stroking your forehead. She's rubbing her hands behind your ear. She's touching you to let you know, I like you. I'm interested in you. She's relieving the anxiety because there is a lot of anxiety when you're getting to know someone and you're dating a person. So all these things, when you're overseas, you don't get this obstruction at every turn in the getting to know stage. don't get me wrong. I do understand that some brothers, or maybe many brothers, do date for sexual tourism when they travel. But that's a very small percentage of most countries' travel program and what the country offers and the activities that's available. For example, I mean, I can give you my experience. Like when I first went to Africa, I was in Bamako. My second day after I got there, and I knew the owner of the hotel. It was actually, he was the brother to the prime minister, and they own several hotels in the country. And I was introduced to him. So I asked him, I said, hey, I want to get to know the city a bit. Who can I get to show me around? And he gave me the name of a good taxi. I called up the taxi. He came, he picked me up. And for like 3 or 4 hours to show you around, it's not expensive. See, that's one of the beautiful things when you have American currency and you exchange it into foreign currency, your money goes longer. And what I was able to do, instead of going out in the sexual areas of the city, the cab driver showed me all the top restaurants, all the top clubs, what day is the best day to go out when ladies come out to party, where you can go shopping, where all the major malls are, where the place to give you good cultural food, the downtown areas to shop. I mean, if you want to get to know a country real well, a local taxi is the best way to go because they know all the places and they're going to show you around and give you all the heads up. And if he works nights or have a partner that works nights, then you have a taxi you can use in the daytime and you have a taxi you can use when you want to hang out. And that's just something that I've learned over the years, that I just don't regulate myself just to the American tourism spots where it's safe, but also the night spots there are always one or two night spots where are treated for where women will come to deal with American men. If you want to meet the women that you're not going to have to pay for, where you're going to meet women that are just socializing in the country like they normally do, you're going to have to go where they are. And I've found over the years that it's far better to be generous when you're out and about. And because your money goes a long way, tipping well can get you favors. And the best way to get favors, money by familiarity, money by access, money open doors. I mean, we see it in America, but we see it in America with larger sums, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and more. But in other countries where you're few thousands or tens of thousands, and for those who have hundreds of thousands, you definitely get a whole different level of access. One of the things I would say that you don't want to be perceived as is being cheap. Like in Honduras, if you're cheap, they call you tacaño, right? You'll see people do that. If they don't even say the word, they'll just motion to their friends about you. And that'll tell everybody he's a cheap dude. The guys know, the waiters know, the manager know, the girls know. Everybody know he's cheap. You never want to be perceived, even in America. I mean, I learned that in the US. But particularly when you're traveling, you don't want to come off like you're a cheap guy because people are going to treat you different if you're perceived as being cheap versus if you're perceived as being uh, generous, nice. Because when you're generous, people automatically assume he's a nice guy, she's a nice person. I remember back in the day, This was years ago in the mid to early 90s when I really was hanging out at some big spots, right? If you go into a spot and you know it's a spot that's got a reputation, it has well to do people who frequent the location, many women will be there. When you go to a spot like that, for me, what I used to do, I used to order, a regular drink. My drink at that time was Kettle One vodka, Kettle One Citron on the rocks. It was $25 or $30, depending on the place. I will order that drink and I will pay with 100, and I will tell the waiter, not so much the waiter, the bartender, because I'll order direct from the bar. I'll tell the bartender, keep the change. They'll look at you twice to be sure. Say, yeah, keep the change. You kind of brush it off, walk away, pick up your drink. What does that do? You know what that does? And I'm going to ask the chat, particularly the men. When you approach a female bartender and you order a drink and you give her a sizable tip on the first transaction, what are you actually looking to get? There are 3 different benefits that you get from tipping like that. And it doesn't mean that every drink you buy, you're going to tip like that. But the first drink you buy, you tip it like that. What is that purpose? Drop it in the chat. Let me see who is really either who have had that experience or, okay, I see Shamar says great service. That's one. There are 3 benefits. What's the other? The next time? No, it's obviously the next time may come into effect, but I'm talking about that night, your first time at that place. Reputation. That's big. Yes. Reputation. And the next thing? Access. Complimentary service. Well, it's a little more than complimentary service. What you have is access. That waitress will keep her eyes on you throughout the night. When a place gets crowded and you're in a hot spot, you don't need to be fighting your way trying to get to the bar to get a drink. Especially if you meet a young lady there later and you're having a good conversation. All you want to do is be able to face the bar, raise your hand. She's going to spot you. She already know your drink. You can tell her 2, or you can just yell out if you're buying a drink for somebody else. She's going to get you a drink right away. And all you got to do is reach through the guys that are standing around waiting to get her attention. You get immediate service. That's what you're buying. You're buying reputation, you're buying a quality of service, and you're buying access. And those 3 things will get you a long way. When you have reputation at a place, there's nothing better. When you take a woman out, whether you're sitting down for dinner or you're just there for drinks, the way the service treats you is going to cause her to look at you in a certain way. She's going to be like, who are you? Why are you getting all this special service? Why are people treating you like that? Why everybody's so nice to you? She's going to be trying to figure out who you are. What is it about you that other people treat you so good? And I think today, the way men, and I guess maybe I kind of miss the era of brokeism. I miss that era because I came up in an era and I came up with guys, even in my hustling days before I got into business, before I got out of high school and went into business. All the crews I hung out with, they had money. They treated each other well. We went to nice places. We bought and wear good stuff. And when I went into the business world, I was exposed to men who had a certain class about them. And they taught me different things on how to socialize. Some of these men were from England. I worked in engineering in the first part of my life. I used to work with a lot of British guys. And then later when I went on Wall Street, it was just general American men, white men. And what I'm saying is that I think as men, we we have not really learned a certain social etiquette and how to really treat people. We kind of rough around the edges. We're rude to people. And people in service, they make their living from, from service. So, if there 100 people treat them like shit and you're the one person to treat them good, they're gonna remember you. They're gonna remember you. It's very similar to when I first came to Honduras. I went to a particular restaurant, and one of my favorite dishes is fried fish, because here it's seafood is everywhere. So I used to like getting a nice good pound and a half or 2 pound pescado. That's red fish, red snapper. So I would order a red fish with rice and beans and tajales, which is like fried plantains. And I just had enough to pay for the dinner in the local currency, which was like maybe 150 pesos, which was like maybe $7. And I wanted to give the girl a tip, but I only had US money. And the smallest denomination I had was a 5. So I gave it a $5 bill as a tip, not really realizing the exchange. That was like 90 to 95% of my bill in the tip. But to say, whenever I came back to that restaurant, I just got phenomenal service. And on Fridays and Saturday nights, they used to have live band with dinner and all different types of stuff. So if I brought a date with me, it was just, I got the best seat in the house, right near to the band on the left, the nice place where you can sit, where the speakers are not in your face, but you can see the stage real well. You get good service, you get your drinks on time. I mean, there's just so much by learning how to be generous that it can advance the quality of your social part of your life, right? And I think with this younger brother who's been getting I get a lot of pushback. What's his name? Hollerman. What's the brother name? Andrew or Andre or Andy? I'm not sure of his first name. Somebody might want to type it in the chat. But Hollerman, he made this video where he's been talking about going overseas. And obviously, he's a classy kid. He's not an ugly dude. He definitely shows that he has the ability to gain the attention of women and take women out. Austin. Thanks a lot, Marcus. Austin. And the point is that men today, I think we're waking up. Black men, we're always the last to the party, right? But we know how to turn a party out once we're there. Thanks, Brian. Going out, socializing, and deciding what it is that we want out of life is more than just one woman or one type of woman. Life is about variety and quality. And I think finally Black men are starting to broaden their sights and we're looking at the world as a planet, as opposed to just looking at the world as the United States. And I think for those men who have that ability to think that way, and then who has the economics to actually exercise their intentions, those men are going to see a much different outcome in their life. Not just immediately today, but it's going to shape their worldview. Passport bros, exactly. It's going to shape their worldview on a whole different level. Another thing I've been hearing a lot of talk about is this whole tricking, because spending money on a woman is tricking. Well, if you don't spend money on a woman, it's because you're broke, because you can't afford to. Men who have it do it. Because for most men who have money is just a tool. It's no more than having a hammer, a chisel, and a wrench. It's suitable for the tool that you want to get the job done that you're looking to get fulfilled. Meaning, if you want to be able to get access to certain places, you need money, because most of the times you have to get an invitation. And it depends on your circle. As you go up in income, as your tax bracket change, your social status usually change with it. And as you get to know different type of people, they'll talk to you about things that are common to them that is new to you. And you'll be like, what are you talking about? And they say, you don't know about that? Then they'll drop a bug in your ear. Oh, you know what? You need to come by this address on Thursday after 5 o'clock. I'll be there. Just come on by. We'll show you around. And that's how you wind up getting access to places. And many a times it's not just socializing, it's business. Because particularly in America, business is done socializing. Business is not done only in the boardroom or through a telephone or on a computer. That's usually just introductory. That's just trying to get your feet in the door to have the conversation. But when you want to close those big deals, a lot of times those big deals may require some kind of social get together. And the reason I wanted to kind of like touch on this whole tricking thing is because how can I say? My background is in financial services. I've spent many years working on Wall Street, trading, both in equities and commodities. I had a really big buddy who used to trade for a big bank. He used to trade Brent oil out of London. So we were good friends, Haitian brother. In any event, for me, when I look at things, sometimes I see it through the color of my expertise. And I look at how men deal with women in 3 different categories. I have what you call the day trader approach. The day trader is really cash for service, quid pro quo. I pay you for X, you give me Y. That's what some brothers who go overseas, for sex travel, that's their arrangement. They're paying for a service that they want. But then you also have guys who are short-term holds. They might hold the stock for 6 months, a year, maybe a little more than a year or two, but it's not a long-term hold. That type of situation is your girlfriend, your relationship, a woman that you might date for 6 months, a year or two, she might be your woman. And then you have what I call the long-term investment, the blue chip woman. The blue chip woman is your long-term girl. That's the woman that you plan on marrying. And if things go right over the next year or two, 18 months, whatever, every man set his own schedule, he'll get married. But in every one of those scenarios, you pay. In the short-term day trade, you pay to have access, in and out. In the short-term hold, you pay in a relationship. Whenever you go out, you pay. She needs a new outfit, you pay. Whoever place you guys gonna go vacation, you pay. So you paying. You paying for the quality of life that the woman add to your circle. And then obviously in a marriage, it's a far greater investment because here you're looking to have children with this woman. You're looking to create a legacy. You want to build riches, if not wealth, or at least you can look to build wealth in the second and third generation, depending on your business and what you're looking to leave for your children. So that's a long-term investment. But in cases where those marriages fail, you pay on the way out. So you're gonna pay. So for the whole idea that tricking is some, bad word, no. Tricking is a part of life. It's something that all men do. You know why? Men built the world. Men service the world. Without men's money, the world will collapse. People talk about how women spend 72 cents of every dollar. I don't think they've really calculated that correctly because most of the money women spend, they get from a man. Whether it's a simp man, whether it's a husband, whether it's a boyfriend, whether it's a daddy, or whether it's just OnlyFans, they're getting money from a man somewhere. So the bottom line is everybody pays. Tricking is part of life. Now, we have used it today to have a negative connotation to it. But back in the day, we didn't use negative terms for treating a woman well. I think that's also something that guys who go overseas, they will see a big difference with women as opposed to in the United States. Like women in overseas, they're very dainty. You'll find that they wear dresses more than pants, especially if they're going out with you for the night. They will put on a dress. They will not come with pants. They're very feminine in the way they move, they smell. And I think if you are the type of man where you have achieved some successes in life, one of the things you'll learn very early in life is that as you tend to achieve things, you may start out buying yourself a nice fancy car that gives you some status. You may then invest in getting a nice house or even buying other investment properties to grow your wealth sooner. But as you begin to grow in your economics, whether you're buying a jet, a yacht, you're building a skyscraper and putting your name on the outside, all those things are good, but they're inanimate objects. They can never appreciate the success that you do and what you have accomplished. And I think we have lost sense that the greatest accomplishment that a man can have, the creme de la creme, is a woman, is a fine-ass woman by your side that exemplify the pinnacle of your success. I have another question for the men in the audience. Have any of you guys ever taken a woman to a 5-star restaurant and have had a three-course meal or a 5-course meal? Who can tell me the one most, how can I phrase that? The most important thing of that meal from start to finish. What's the most important part of that meal? Who knows? I'll give you guys a chance to drop me your thoughts. Nobody? What's the one most important thing of a 3-course or a 5-course meal? The company, the wine? Good choice, but no. Grabbing the check. Okay. Mario 963 hit it on the head. The dessert. No matter if it's a 3-course meal or a 5-course meal, what sets off that meal is the creme de la creme, is the dessert that comes at the end. The flaming souffle. It lights up. Other people in the restaurants are looking. Who's getting that? They bring it out on a cart. They roll it up to your table. Table is cleared. It's put right before you, and you and your date, you share it. That is the pinnacle of your dinner. That is what makes the meal worth it. That is where the chef really demonstrates his or her true skills and ability, because if anyone knows anything about pastry chef, I used to date a pastry chef that was trained in France. Being a pastry chef is the hardest certification to receive from the CIA. Culinary Institute of whatever. I forgot the acronym now. But that is the true essence of a good chef. And it's what tops off the meal. And it's the same thing about men's accomplishment. When a man reached the height of his accomplishment, he wants to be able to post up. He wants to be able to show part of his success is having a woman that represents his accomplishment. A fine woman that's down with him. Not just a woman that's there for what she can get, but a woman that's down with you. A woman that's got your back. A woman that truly fits the definition of what is a helpmate. And I think because dating in America has been so adversarial, so many people have lost that. Or maybe you don't even know it exists. But I'm telling you, I come from a time not so long ago where dating black women was a pleasure. It was fun. They treated you good. And you had good sex. And you had good relationship. And it wasn't all about just money. Obviously, you can't really date a woman and treat her nice and take her to nice places unless you got it like that. But at least the woman you were dealing with, if you were dealing with a woman on that level, then she was very much open to you. And she was anticipatory of your needs. She will look for ways to make your day a good day or a good night. But today, what I hear is like, all a woman wants is to run your pockets. And after they hit bottom, they move on to the next dude. And I just think so many black men are just not with that anymore, whether they can afford it or whether they can't afford it. And I think if you can't afford it and you're relegated to the, to the sidebar and you could just look on, that's, nobody can do that forever without being frustrated. And, another thing that I've noticed under this whole tricking aspect, it's like today, men will pay more money for virtual sex than for real sex. Like guys are dropping money on OnlyFans to just look at coochie. Like what? In my day, if you were going to drop money on a chick, you were going to be in it. You ain't dropping no money to look at it. That's crazy. And today we have more guys dropping money to watch virtual coochie instead of being up in the coochie. But they're going to talk about the guys that's traveling overseas to actually get real coochie. That's the part that I just can't figure out. Like, what kind of mentality is going on today? Like, people are just backwards today. Also, I wanted to talk about this whole Roe versus Wade. And I'm not going to get into that because I'm not good in the law like that. But I want to kind of look at something there was a recent discussion going on. I think Dennis Sperling spoke about it. I think maybe Anton may have touched on it a little bit. And that's really about this new prenatal law that's states are looking to pass, both Republican states and Democratic states. The government is anticipating, because of Roe versus Wade reversal, that there will be more women having children just by circumstance. Not every woman is going to cross state lines to go get an abortion. And some women may think more carefully about, who knows, the guy that they sleep with and may want to have his baby as opposed to not. So the government is looking at this situation and they're saying, wait a minute, we need to get ahead of this. So they're creating this whole law whereby a man is going to have to pay child support from basically once the woman conceives. That 6-week marker, once you know you're pregnant. And they're looking to take what's right now a $51 billion market, potentially up to a $200 billion market. The problem is, here's the catch. And I did a show on this maybe 2-3 months ago, back in May or early June. And I asked the question, what would happen? And I focused that on Black America, but it could probably apply to all of America. What would happen if the top 20% income men were to leave the community? What would that look like? And at the time, I think many people said, nothing, the community would remain the same. I think not. Because if the top 20% men start going overseas, establishing business overseas, marrying overseas, having children overseas, those are the men with money. You can't be broke and travel, not long term. You can do it once or twice, but not long term. That's going to have a big effect on the United States overall revenue as it pertains to child support and public services that it provides to women who have children. Who's going to pay those bills? Pookie and Ray Ray? I doubt that. The next big thing I think we're going to be talking about in this sector is going to be about getting a second passport. And, it's funny because a lot of people are saying that, or at least some people are saying that the women are trying to get you to bring them to the United States. I think it's going to be the opposite way around. I think guys are going to be traveling overseas and getting with these women to get a second passport. Dual citizenship. Tariq Blanks. Absolutely. Dual citizenship. See, once you start traveling overseas and you meet different people, you start having different conversations. You start seeing the world from the outside in as opposed from the inside out. And when you're looking from the outside of America back into America from foreign lands, you see different things. Perspective matters. And I think that's going to be something that's definitely going to have a big effect in not only the Black community, but in the white communities too. Because trust me, quiet as it's kept, white boys been traveling and travel overseas, not only for sex, but having babies overseas for quite some time. One of the biggest intermarry is white boys and Asian women. That's been going on for like forever, since the Second World War. Well, at least since the Korean War. Okay, another thing I want to say I can drop with regard to this conversation is the simps. What is a simp? We have quite a few right now. RGB or RBG, the red, black, and green crew. The guys who are tied to the community. Now they are trying to tell Gen Z men not to travel. But as Gen Z men travel more, that's going to affect Generation A that's coming up behind them. A lot of these young kids, like LeBron James' son, they've already jumped ship. They've already jumped ship. They're not even thinking about dealing with the foolishness that's going on in the Black community. Hotep. Go ahead, Greg. For sure. And trying to shame a brother or create fear to keep you in the community. No. The Black community has to grow. And the only way it's going to grow is by the growth of men. Women have never conquered anything, and they will never conquer nothing because they're not built that way. If they were, they have existed as long as men have existed. They would have conquered something. They haven't conquered anything because they can't. As much as they brag about how great they are and women are great in their own way, but they're not men. And the problem is that the men that are traveling now, these men are going to be like kamikazes. Back in the day when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, they know that was a one-way trip. And I think why the big uproar with regard to SYSBM is because most people know, we used to have an old saying, once you go black, you never go back. But I think once these brothers go overseas, they're going for good. It's a one-way mission. It's a one-way mission. They're not coming back to the community. I mean, they'll come back and they'll deal with you. They might even do business with you. But they're not looking to build long-term relationships in the community no more. I think many of our sisters, they're starting to see a shift, because Black women believe Black men are not worthy of respect. And I think one of the reasons why they have that idea mainly is because they've never seen Black men say something and completely follow through. So they think that you're weak. You're going to capitulate. You're going to give in. You don't really mean it. It's only a phase. That's not the case. That's not happening now. What's happening now is that men are making a decision and they're acting on it. They're stating what they want verbally, and we've been doing this online for quite some time. I can't really take no credit for that because I'm a Johnny-come-lately, right? But I've seen it from the sidelines watching. But men have been saying, look, I want this type of woman. I want this type of relationship. And I want to build something. And the woman is saying, no, it's my way or the highway. And for quite some time, guys have been sucking it up. But we're at the stage now where guys are like, you know what? I'm done. Guys are making their move. And because they're making their move and women realize that, you know what? This is serious. Now is where you're starting to get the pushback. The simps are coming out in full force. They're criticizing brothers. They're shaming brothers. They're insulting brothers. They're throwing out fair tactics. All types of stuff are coming out. But they're going into their bag of tricks because now they realize one thing. The train has left the station and it ain't coming back. It's a one-way mission. So what I would say is anyone want to contribute to this conversation going further, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Black men have an option. One of the things that I've never had in my house, and I was married for about 8 years, and I've had several long-term relationships, 3 or 4 years or greater. And I've never had a microwave in my house. And I think as a man, that's a standard you should have. If your woman can't make you a dinner, I mean, today is at the place, at this stage in society, we can literally order anything we want, right? But if a woman wants to really show herself to be someone who literally care about her man, she needs to be able to do things that are above the basics of society. She needs to care about your mental health, your physical health, and in some cases, even your spiritual health. And I think one of the things that, especially guys who have been overseas for some time, 10 years, 15 years like myself, when you come home and your woman say, hey, baby, did you eat? Are you hungry? What do you want to eat? And you go into the kitchen and she makes you a fresh meal. She don't chuck it in a microwave and warm something up. that was made 6-7 hours ago. No, she make your meal fresh. She sit down with you after you eat. She puts her head in your lap, or she puts your head in her lap, and she strokes your forehead. You guys sit there, watch a movie or talk, and she could drop your stress levels from 10 to 0. That's the benefit of a good woman. When you've been out all day working, slaying the dragon, conquering, trying to achieve, busting your ass, the last thing you want to do when you walk into the house, you see the house looking the same way. A forehead stroke. Right, see the house looking the same way. It's funky. It's not freshly smelled. House not vacuumed, nothing. You don't smell no food cooking. You ask her, hey, did you make dinner? What you got to eat? She starts stressing on you. You get into an argument. She sends your stress level up higher. A woman that can bring your stress level to 0, put you in a mindset where you could contemplate, what's the next mission? What's the next deal I'm looking to make where I can make more money for this family? As opposed to a woman who is stressing you out. So when you get off work, you be figuring out, well, what can I do before I go home? You thinking about everything to do before you get to the house because you don't want to get to the house. You trying to make sure she's in bed already before you come home. And if you come home and she's in bed, she going to want to know why you're so late. And if you come home early, she going to be wanting to know, well, what are you doing home so early? It's like there's no win with certain chicks. And I'm just saying that Black men are waking up to a whole new life of what life is all about and how to make it worth what it is that you want. And choosing the woman that's going to give you the best option, whether she's in the U.S., outside the U.S., whether she's Black, whether she's Latina, or whether she's other. I think we are now finally coming to the realization is that we hold all the cards. Whether you're 6 feet or whether you're 5'7", whether you make 100 million or you make 100,000, don't matter. You hold all the cards. Because as much as these women talk about how strong they are, why are they always asking men for money? If you're so strong and you're so independent, why are you always asking men for money? Why men got to pay your bills? You strong and independent and you got your own money. You're the most educated. Why do you need a man to pay your bills? Because what they're saying is they need men. Their pride and feminism has put them in a position where they can't admit anymore that we need you, we want you. So they become arrogant. Did I ever admit what was the cause? Who is this? Let me see if I can bring this up. 1 second. 2 cents. Did Sage ever express the cause for his divorce? Just curious as to his perspective regarding going overseas and the microwave comment. Okay. Well, my wife was an excellent cook. She was a great housekeeper. We didn't have issues with that. I will say this. When I got married, I told my wife in the beginning, there were many things that we knew about each other already. And I kind of laid out what was some deal breakers for me. And I told my wife that I believe in marriage forever. I don't believe in divorce and stuff like that. But I told her that the only thing that she can ever do that would break this marriage was if she take another man. And if she ever took another man, I'm out. I don't need to know who it is. I don't want to know how long it's been going on. All those things are irrelevant to me. Once you make the decision to sleep with another man, it tells me that you no longer want me and I'm not going to stick around. After about 8 years, I found out she was sleeping with somebody else. And ironically, how it happened, how I came to know, was her mother had died, and I took her down south to for the burial. I paid for everything, and I coordinated the funeral. And her mother's best friend, her name was Gloria. Gloria and I never had any real beef, but we never really spoke that much as well. But after the wedding, I mean, after the funeral, Gloria and I had a chance. She kind of had a chance, I guess, to look at me and see how I move as a man, as opposed to what maybe she have heard from others speak about me. So one night after we had came back, one night I had came home, I drove up to the house, and I saw my youngest son, no, my oldest son, sitting on the stoop outside. This is in New York City. So I asked him, "Where's mommy?" So he told me he didn't know. I asked him, "Did you eat?" He said no. So I was kind of frustrated. And then Gloria was babysitting him outside. So she looked at me and she said, "Lee, you need to handle your business." And that's all she said. And I knew what she meant. And after that, I got to the bottom of it. I'm not going to tell you how I did it, but I got to the bottom of it, and it did get revealed. And not too long after, in about a week, I found out exactly who it was, what was going on, the whole nine. And I packed a bag and I left. And then later I moved my stuff out and I moved on. And after that, she used the kids as a buffer to try to control the situation as best as she can. And the relationship just went downhill from that point. But that was really the cause of my divorce. With regard to the microwave thing, that had nothing to do with her, because my wife never used the microwave. But I just, as a standard, I think that is something that as a man you shouldn't really have in the house. Eat fresh meals. Fast food and microwave food. If you know anything about microwave kills all cells. So even if the food is freshly made and it has all the nourishments in it, once you microwave it, you kill all the nutrients. So it doesn't really benefit you. So I would say that with regard to the whole microwave comment. Thanks for asking the question. Was that 2 cents uncensored? So I will say this before I start bringing brothers up. I'd just like to ask a final question to the audience. And this is to black men in general. What are the three main things that you think why black women don't respect black men? I'll say it again. Why do black women don't respect black men? And what are the top three things that you believe those things can be? And let's talk about it. I didn't get to talk about game so much, but in a sense, game really doesn't have much relevance overseas. When I look at game, and I've seen game in many different ways, how it's portrayed in the US. I come from a neighborhood where I grew up around serious players. So when it comes to speaking with women, I'm very comfortable and positive in being able to do that. So that's never been an issue for me. However, I will say this. What I've observed, particularly with Black American women, is that the more obnoxious you are as a man, the more liberty you have with the women. The more respectful you are with the woman, the less attention they will pay you. And that's just something that I find it's general. Overseas, it's just the opposite. The more obnoxious and disrespectful you are with women overseas, they'll turn away from you. Now, the more respectful you are to them, because Latin women are they're very romantic, the culture. Like if you learn about the Latin languages, French, Italian, and Spanish, those are the three Latin languages. They're very seductive. They're very romantic. And Latin women are still very romantic. It's like when we talk about the 60s and 70s, the music that Black people used to really uh, vibe to was R&B music. And when you really listen to the lyrics, the lyrics was really about loving a black woman. But now today, loving and romanticizing a black woman. But if you do that today, you'd be used, you'd be played, you'd be looked at as a sucker, as a fool, as a chump. Whereas in Latin America, if you treat a woman like that, man, you'd be surprised what a woman would do for you. Hands down. I could tell you some stories. Trust me. Okay, let's see who we got up here. Jabbar Giro. Hey, Jabbar, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, Sage. This Jamar with two R's, like a pirate.
Talk to me.
Well, I'm originally from New York City, and my first girlfriend, Ebony, beautiful black woman, brilliant, intelligent, funny. I had some family difficulties around 15, and so I had to kind of go to a different part of the city for a couple months, and I didn't know how to articulate that to her. And so when I got back, we didn't officially break up, but I saw her drifting, and then I used one of my best friends to kind of be a go-between. He was one of those pretty Ricky guys, but he was definitely a player, and I was the guy who was sincerely in love with her. She ended up dating him for 5 years. And he turned her out, and eventually he cheated on her. And then by the time that happened, I was in college, he was not. And so she tried to get back with me. She was down in Tuskegee. I was at Auburn, about 45 minutes away from her, and she realized the mistake she made. But by that time, it was too late. And so she fell for the player. She fell for the person who ultimately wasn't faithful to her. And then for me, it was kind of like Revenge of the Nerds, because I was always more of the intellectual. I got made fun of growing up because I talked white, quote unquote. But for me, it was just a matter of I had a sound understanding and control of the English language. I had high aspirations. I knew I was smart, and I wasn't going to settle for less in my life. And what I find is that I'm from the hood, but I'm not of the hood. And so when I was attracted to girls who were, from the hood, same place I was from, but because I didn't have that street edge to me, I found myself getting rejected often. And so I just went to where I was getting the love. And, the Puerto Rican girls, the Dominican girls, I dated a Russian girl when I was younger. And for me,
what part of New York were you from?
I was born in the Bronx, and I moved to Spanish Harlem, so Upper East Side, 99th and 2nd Ave, right on the borderline of where it was wealthy. But I grew up in the project, so Washington houses over there.
Is that 96th Street, or you was below 96th Street?
That was my train. I was on 99th and 2nd Ave, so right across from Metropolitan.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But to your question about like why do you think the issue is, because I watched my mother have very disrespectful encounters with the men she was with, right? And I think it's because they know that there are no repercussions to them behaving poorly towards men, because they have they have the police state backing them. So because they don't fear us, because they don't have to, they have an uncle. Uncle Sam is their protector.
So, and I think power,
yeah,
power.
Because a woman can
they do not see black men as having the ability to execute power.
Exactly.
That's a good one. Absolutely. What else?
By and large. Well, the other thing too is let's talk about the economics, because even though like my mother ended up being, my father got murdered when I was 9, so my mother was single, was a single mother for many years. She remarried. That's okay. That's okay. And she remarried a couple times, but she always was financially completely not dependent on a man. So if the person she was seeing had some things mess up with money, she would just be fed up with them and just say, listen, if you can't provide, you got to go. Versus when it's a family unit and it's more than just money, you would work things out because of the quality of the individual you selected to be around your children, right? But
Okay.
because they
Yeah.
don't need men for finances, they tend to, mouth off, and she had money coming in from different places. I remember at one point she was collecting, social services, but she also worked, and so there was a way she was working the system on both ends to make ends meet. You know what I mean? But
Okay.
also to keep herself fly, and that limits a man's. It eliminates the man's necessity. When a woman has to rely on a man, there's way more cooperation than when she doesn't. And
Well,
and
that's
and
part of
women
it.
are,
Yeah.
that's a big part of it. And so I didn't really see good interactions, good behavior. I saw her talking to, a man. Look, my stepfather at the time, his name was Jose, rest in peace. He died of a heart attack in his mid-50s. But
Okay.
I saw, like, this guy was a warrior, right? He was a provider. That was what he was good at. But he had a lot of simp characteristics about him, right? And so, but she would talk to him with no fear, as if he was some stranger on the street sometimes. And it was like, this man is he's capable of immense amounts of violence. I've witnessed it. One time he thought she was cheating on him with somebody, and he assaulted the dude in broad daylight. You know what I mean? Just uppercutted him, knocked him out. Like, he's that kind of a guy. But she talked
Right.
with him with reckless abandonment, like she had no fear. And I
Right.
always thought
Right.
that was strange of a
So,
woman to do
so
that
let,
to a
so
man.
let me ask you that. What was the kind of imprint you think that left on you as a man, with regard to you being a black man and how you saw your mother
Yeah,
deal with black
yeah.
men?
So honestly, what it did, because she was also very physically violent with me at times, dealing with her issues. What it did
Hmm.
was it said, I would never accept that from a woman. Meaning, at the first instance of violence, I'm leaving, and she got to go. Like, that will not
Okay.
be tolerated. You do not put your hands on me, because I would never put my hands on a woman.
Right.
Ever. She could
Right.
slap me, punch me. I'm leaving, because I
Right.
understand the court system. My brother's a detective in New York City. I know how I was going to swing.
Right.
But what it told me is that's unacceptable behavior. And if I'm ever with a woman and I even think she has that in her, I'm going to ask the question, hey, have you ever hit a man that you were seeing? Have you ever had any kind of physical? And if she says yes, as much as I might be feeling her, I can't see her, because you got that in you. I can't.
Well,
To me,
it's funny
that's
that you say
unacceptable
that,
behavior.
because that takes a lot of discipline, because
It does.
so many black men are so caught up in the physicality of black women, their beauty,
Yeah.
whether it's facial beauty or their body, their
Yeah.
shapeliness, and their sexiness. And
Yes.
so many men will trade in their own self-respect just to be able to get with a woman that they find it is attractive and maybe desired by other men as well. And
I've done it.
to hear you say that you're prepared to walk away if you find that there are certain red flags or deal breakers that you find in the characteristic of a person, a woman, that is non-negotiable. I applaud that, because I'm very much the same way. Part of that came for me through my career. Because I
Yes.
worked on Wall Street, I could not have a felony. A
Yep.
felony, I would automatically lose my Series 7 licensing,
Yep.
and I could not trade. I could not be a financial advisor. I would
Mm-hmm.
lose, my profession. So that was something that I was always cognizant of, that when I'm dating a woman, the minute she shows if she shows aggressive verbalness, I'm going to check that. But
Yep.
if we ever got into a situation where she wants to put her hands on me, she's out. I had a girlfriend for 4 years, and one day we got into an argument, and she was the one that was the chef, and I had bought her those set of knives, so I knew the quality of the knives I bought. And I don't remember what we were arguing about, but she went in the kitchen and pulled the knives on me. I'm like, girl, what you doing? Better go ahead. And she came at me. I literally had to grab my office chair and kind of hold her back like a lion tamer. And I told her, I said, look, you need to go put that down. Whatever's going on, We need to sit down and talk about it, but I'm not going to deal with this. And she didn't put it down. So I just called the cops. And as I was dialing, I'm like, yo, I'm dialing 911. And she refused. So the cops came
Mm.
and she didn't even put the knife down when the cops came in the apartment. So I was like, she
Wow.
crazy. It was one female cop, two police officers, male. So in the end, they wound up arresting her. When they arrested her, the next day, I went to the locksmith. I said, I need to change my locks. I changed my locks.
Yep.
The Monday I went to the DA's office, I told them I'm not going to press charges. They gave me a 6 months order of protection. They put her on probation for 6 months. When she called me up 2 weeks later, like, I can't get in the house, I'm like, you don't live there no more. Tell me when you want to come get your shit, and I'll
Yep.
have the building, because the building I lived in was a very classy building. You need to make
Yes.
reservations to move in and to move out. So I said, my girl want to move out. They need to lock down an elevator so they can have it reserved. She came in on an early Saturday morning, moved that shit out, and that was that. You can't play with these women, man, because when you
Cannot.
do, they will recklessly destroy your life, think nothing
Mhm.
about it, and move on to the next dude like, that
Oh,
was your.
well, the thing is I've realized how cold-blooded women are. I mean, I witnessed it myself. My mother was a cold-blooded negotiator. That's the one thing you mentioned about, because I used to have my Series 6 and 63. I used to be in financial services as well. And you understand about
Oh,
business.
okay.
What's so important is the art of negotiation in life, right? There was a really good book I read years ago called Negotiate This by this Jewish attorney who did some major cases, right? My mother, she was a vicious woman because she had to be. She was running in them streets. She was getting caught up from time to time. So she learned to be vicious. And I realized what women were capable of at an early age. And so I don't look at them as angels. They're human beings just like us. They're no better, they're no worse, but you can't put it past them that at times they might do some devious things. I have a sister as well who's very light-skinned, hazel eyes, and at one point, I mean, her tongue was so sharp that some girls jumped her and sliced her face with a razor blade because she was that cold with it when it comes to verbally being abusive. So I don't put up with verbal abuse or physical abuse.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
when
Because one could translate into another easily.
Oh, it translates very easily. And so the thing is what I think about is I want my woman to be, shout out to Kevin Samuels, fit, feminine, and beautiful and inspirational. And that's it.
And
If
friendly.
you're anything more than that, you got to go. And like you said, we got the cards right now. And for such a long time, my imprint was, because my mother was one of those women where if I was walking down the street with her at 12, 13, men would stop, stare, and their heads would be snapping and trying to look at her because her shape was a certain way. So of course I started to look for that in women. But what I noticed was a lot of those women didn't have the type of, ethics, values, and morals and principles that made them really worthy of someone who was going to truly provide for them. They out for self. They're out for what they can get versus what can they help build with you. And when I started to realize
the hood in general, whether it's Harlem or other places, is really all about get what you can get.
It is.
And women,
even
both men and women think that way. So it's something where it's about survival. And people will sacrifice their character as opposed to maintaining their character and find ways to succeed in spite of the environment that they're in. Give me a second. I want to address this comment. Yep. Mimi said, Mr. Lee, why are you attracting these women with such negative vibrations? Well, we are talking about the negativities of women which are causing men to go overseas. If we were talking about the positives of women in America, I would be talking about that. I can remember 2 women in my life who I've had long relationships with, where after one, 8 years, and the other 4 years, going on 5 years, something negative happened. Okay. But I can also list several relationships that I've had that was nothing but good. There's a woman that I can still think of today that I said, if I had my life to live over again, I would marry her because this was a woman that I've known now for a good 40 years. Well, no, 30 years, about 32 years. We met in the early 90s. And we have never had a single argument in my entire life. And she's been nothing but good to me. Of course, I've been good to her, but she's been good to me. And she's brought me luck. Is the only woman that I can think of that every time she came around, I made money on my job. The first time we met, she walked into my job and she waited 2 hours. We were getting ready to go on a date. I was working in sales and I used to sell Porsches and Audi back then. She walked into the showroom and right before she walked in, 2 customers walked in. I wound up selling 4 cars in 2 hours. I had to apologize. I think it was Valentine's Day, and a lady came in selling roses. I bought the whole freaking bucket of roses, gave it to her, and apologized. We made another date. So, Mimi, I have a plethora of positive stories that I can relate as it pertains to my life. But we were talking about the negative issues that Black men are encountering with Black women. So that's why I cited those 2. Thanks for the comment.
That's beautiful.
Definite G, welcome to Sage Talk. Good to see you, brother. What's your contribution to this conversation?
Yeah, how are you, Mr. Lee? Long time no see.
Likewise.
Yeah, I mean, this is the result of men finally having a backbone and choosing and not being afraid of going for what they really want. I mean, I don't know why women thought that it wasn't going to go any other way. I mean, being told in America that men are evil and men are just, good for nothing. They're always, the women are always waiting on the other shoe to drop. I mean, what do you think was going to happen? I mean, if it was the female equivalent, they'd probably do the same thing. And to answer your question about the 3 things, I would think the reason why Black women are, are in that negative space is because of fear, ignorance, and corruption. I mean, like
Well, no, the question was, why is it that Black
oh,
women don't respect Black men? That was the actual
gotcha.
question. Now we have
Oh,
one
gotcha.
guy.
Cool.
I mean, I think Jamar. He said power. His evaluation synthesized down to power. That was one aspect, and I think that's accurate. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, I'll continue. Yeah, I would say, the ones that the ones I would say is like fear,
No,
ignorance, and
hold
corrupt.
up, Definite G.
Yeah.
I want to drop this.
Mhm.
Mr. Lee is scored. I like that. I tell you, I would love to come back to New York and we can hang out, guys. You will really see the kind of life that I've had. I could introduce you to some people, some women that will blow your fucking mind. So maybe I'll come back maybe on the next live that Gerald might do if he does one before the end of the year. Maybe I might decide to swing back and see. Anyhow, let's continue. Go ahead, Definite G. Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, before you do, Mr. Lee, the fact that I know you're in sales, the fact that I know that you've had your Series 7, what that tells me is that you've been able to put yourself economically in a place that has given you unlimited options for women that you desire. There's no scorn. There's a hope and desire to connect with people. But if they don't want to step up, we got other options. We out here with options. We're the most desirable men on the planet. So people need to get that out of their head. When you're smart and you got means, you got unlimited options.
The thing is that like I was making over 100 grand a year 30 something years ago. So like I before some of these people that are commenting were even born. So the kind of life that I have lived and I've been exposed to, and the women that I have been exposed to, you guys really have no idea, and now guys are talking about getting their money up to making 100 grand a year. My world was night and day above that. I mean, I was not $1 million producer monthly, but in the crew that I hung with, we were $1 million producers. I gross more than $1 million a year. So I'm not sure where you guys come from and what life that you have lived, but trust me, I can expose you to things that you don't even know that exist right now. I mean, 2 blocks away from the Waldorf, when I had big clients came into New York, there were clubs, private clubs near the Waldorf that unless you had the card and an ID number, you wouldn't even know exists. Private parties, rooftop penthouse parties that you guys have no idea what goes on in New York once the lights go down after 11, 12 o'clock at night. So I take it with a grain of salt, and I understand that, I'm an older dude, and your exposure to many older dudes have been guys who have been broke. I'm not one of those guys. I'll say that.
When I was 18, I spoke at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel and met
Uh-huh.
Kofi Annan.
Really? I think he's frozen.
All right.
Jamal?
I met ombudsmen and all sorts of dignitaries when I was an officer in the Navy. So I know what you're talking about. That's why I'm here with the Sage to get this real game. So we need to definitely network and connect.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, you could definitely I could drop my email in the back chat for Sage Talk. So anybody want to reach out? There's some things I'm working on, and I'm hoping by mid to late September or early October, I can drop some information, because definitely want to make a second launch to Sage Talk as a whole, and some things that I think they can be advantageous to brothers. Because my focus is, how can I get brothers to advance in whatever it is that they're looking to do in life? And I'm looking for opportunities to how I can do that from my perspective and where I'm at. Definite G, you were about to add something and we interrupted. I apologize.
Yeah, so the three things were that I wanted to, input was fear, ignorance, and corruption is the reason why they don't really want to trust black men, is because like what's going into the fear aspect of things, that their mothers or even like their fathers who weren't there, at least going into like what their mothers have been telling, to never trust a black man, or always have like one foot out the door, or at least have some sort of leverage against him, just in case he cheats on you, just in case he does something wrong to her. So that narrative
Right.
has been spewed down from generations to generations. And even me reading Shahrazad Ali's book, she said that happens, that there's always this negative narrative about always trying to get one over on the black man. And then with the ignorance aspect, with a lot of black women not being raised with their fathers, they have no idea of what a good leader is, or even just a general leader should be. So they have no sort of reference points to go by. So when a man does want to exert his leadership and wants to move forward with her, she was going to resist it out of ignorance, because she doesn't know how to conduct herself with a leader. And also with the corruption aspect,
Yeah.
mainstream media, Instagram, and just always this negative view on how, what men are, and just, men are always these doting idiots, and then there has to be this woman to save the day and be the voice
Well,
of
I
reason.
think
So,
my
mhm.
perspective on that is that I don't think the media lead in that particular direction. The media follow what society is doing, what black women are saying, and then the media pick up on it, and then they bring out material to support it. So the media is not a leader in that. What they do offer is a wider, broader platform to expose and promote the ideas that many of our women have continued to express. So, one of the things I try not to do is take away accountability and responsibility for the most educated women on the planet, right? Black women say they're the most educated in the United States. That would particularly mean on the planet. So you can't be the most educated and then also the ones who are the most disadvantaged. Those two things don't go together. But
Yeah, and yeah,
WNHTV says, so answer this, y'all. Consider these women educated. Are you referring to American women? If it is, I think I just spoke to that. If you're referring to women who are overseas, I would say many of the women that you would meet are highly educated pharmacists, doctors, and lawyers. I taught school here for 8 years. I just stopped since the pandemic started. Matter of fact, I was just recently asked to come back to one of the private schools where I used to teach. I turned it down because I want to do some other things at this time. But I would say this, most of my students, male and females, they went on into engineering. They are going into becoming doctors. I ran into one of my recent students, a female, and she's been accepted to London School of Economics. I mean, I have another students who I had to write a recommendation letter to, and she was getting a scholarship to go to Japan to study. So if you think that because Latin American countries may not be at the same economic or infrastructure development of the United States, that the people are backwards, I think you yourself may need to travel so you can expose yourself to what the broader world is all about, as opposed to just looking from the inside out, right? That's how I would address that situation with you. Go ahead, Definite G.
yeah, and I completely agree with you. I'm not trying to skirt any sort of responsibility away from Black women. I mean, like, especially if there's like hearing all this venom about the same men that they want to marry, but yet for some odd reason they still don't trust. Like that's kind of contradictory. But at the same time, why haven't they, these educated women, so to speak, questioned the things that they've been told and actually try to be the best woman possible to actually get the, Black men that they actually wanted? So yeah, and even from what I'm saying, hearing from overseas and the difference over there from here is that a lot of the women over there, their outer beauty matches their inner beauty. Like, they're gorgeous women and they're also a pleasant to be around. But over here in America, their outer beauty does not match their inner beauty. They're almost using the beauty, as you said with the previous caller, that they're kind of using as leverage against him
That
to try to,
that's a
get
good
what they
point.
want out
That's
of
a
him.
good point
Yeah.
because
So, oh yeah.
like they say in America, men date down or men marry down. I think it's just the opposite, particularly for black men when they travel overseas. You
Hmm.
you date up, you date up, you date up, and you marry up. The women are more feminine, more submissive. They take care of you as a man better, and they look better, and they take care of their body better. So over time, even as they have children, they still maintain their good physique. So going overseas, everything goes up. Your money power goes up exponentially, depends on the currency exchange, but it goes up, it doesn't go down. The quality of the woman goes up, the beauty and attractiveness of the woman goes up, the submissiveness and the femininity of the woman goes up. That's a straight up win. That would be considered a full house or a flush if you were playing cards. But was that Uncle Luke 1980? Thanks for the super chat. No more excuses for black women. Tired of the excuses. Tired. No accountability for the most educated, independent ID or indeed. Thank you.
Yeah. And I also wanted to add something else too, is that with what you just said, I mean, like, especially for the dudes that are going against this, like, oh, you go overseas and you might get drugged, or you go overseas, you're not going to get the same quality of life over here. Okay, but there's also issues here in America that you could get hemmed up on too. But at the same time, it's just a cost benefit analysis. I mean, you get a better quality woman that you don't have to, jump through hoops over. She's already ready made. She's ready for you. All you have to do is just walk up, say hi, and see if everything goes well. I mean, like, what's, I mean, like, what's the downside of that? I get it that, I would say for the, SYSBM and even the passport bros, I would say to be like, at least understand your manhood and becoming more masculine and understand how to be a man in, with dealing with women. That would probably be the only thing I would have to say to them. But other than that, I would say, hey, do whatever you want. Want to go to Brazil, go to other countries, go to Japan, hey, live your life and, go for what you want.
Well, I think definitely that brothers will find more countries to tour and to become more familiar with as this whole idea and this market grows, right? Comment says Anton says most enroll. Well, they're most enroll and they've got the most debt, so they better use it to their advantage. Hey, what's up, brother? What's up, Logic? How you doing?
What's going on, Mr. Lee? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hear you loud and clear. Drop it. What you got on this topic? I
Oh, you
know
know I got
you.
on this
I've
time.
seen some of your clips from the live show. You guys been on fire, man.
For the most part. I got a little pushback, Mr. Lee.
Okay,
And,
talk to me.
and I'm gonna explain. As you know what I'm saying, I've been overseas multiple times and just travel and actually business. And I think the whole message about like go overseas and get these women that's submissive, because the thing is, I don't really agree. I think they culturally is more submissive, but I think it's a catch to it. Because for the most part, I got friends that successfully married to Koreans. I got friends that successfully married to Filipinos, but I've seen a lot of them that they going in and they actually dealing with more barriers than dealing with the black women. And also them chicks is they want something from you, which is called a green card. They want to have the American dream, and you can maneuver around it, but I still think it's too dangerous. I'm just saying I've seen it to where it's too dangerous, to the fact that I'm gonna give you an example. One of my homeboys, he married to a Filipino, right? And this went good though, but his household is so awkward, like super fucking awkward, man. Like she be doing just some awkward ass shit, and like she try to fit in, and it's just too fucking awkward. And it's like, my question to you is that, should we try to deal with our barriers here with black women, or should we go to another country and try to go ahead and they still have these barriers? They just not as ruthless as black women. But do we still go on and say, hey, look, you know what? Let's go over there and deal with a culture barrier. Let's deal with a language barrier, and then hope she don't have them barriers on the outside, because when we go over there, we got leverage.
Well, a language barrier and a culture barrier, you're always going to have to deal with that, right? Growing up in America, you grow up in the culture, so you were brought up in that, so you know that. You don't have that as a barrier issue. Going to another country, like for me, I know because I lived in Africa for a time, that living in Africa and dating a woman long term to build a family or marriage would not be something I would choose to do, because the culture is so different than what I could adapt to. I wouldn't be able to do that. So I know that. So I wouldn't marry an African woman in that regard. But in Latin America, I find that I'm more acclimated to the culture because it's very Caribbean-like, and I have many Caribbeans in my family, and it's very Latin-like. I have Latinos in my family as well. So I've already been somewhat exposed to that, but I wasn't immersed in it because I grew up in America, and America is the culture that I know. I will say is that there's always going to be new things that you're going to have to adapt to and overcome in life. Whether you're pursuing a career and you're learning technology, technology is always advancing and changing. So you're going to have to grow and adapt. If you're a doctor, you're going to always have to do your certifications every couple of years to adapt. When I was in financial services, every 2 years I had to be recertified. I had to retake my background check with the FBI, and I had to brush up on knowing all the financial requirements. So make sure I don't violate any of them when I'm investing for my clients. So I think if you're about growing yourself as a person and expanding yourself as a person, and if you have made the determination that, you know what, I want to try a different pool of women. And one of the things that's a requirement for me, not me personally, but me, whoever that individual might be, is I want a woman that's I'm attractive to or is attractive. Like they're attracted to the IG model type women here. But those women, you can only deal with them at a economic standard for them to be able to pay you attention. If you don't have that economic standard, or if you don't want to spend your money in that way, you could go to other countries where, number one, your money is exponentially increased in value. So what you spend is insignificant to what you would spend in the US, but at the same time, you can make major headways in terms of how you can flow and interrelate in the society. If you want to, you could get someone to teach you the language. If you spend enough time in the country, you can learn the culture. The culture is not that difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And
so this is Miss Lee.
Yeah.
Why these South America chicks, these Filipino chicks, Thailand chicks, why are they marrying these black men that's going over there?
I don't know. I can't say why they are. Let me say this. About 7 years ago, this was 2016 or so. Yeah, around 6 years ago. I met a beautiful young lady here. And she was about 34. And we started dating and we were talking. But she asked me straight out, do you plan on going back to the United States? I said, no. She said, okay. She says, well, I want to go to the United States and I want to live in the United States. I said, okay. Well, I said, well, you know, in that case, we shouldn't be dating. You would need to meet someone who want to do that. About 3 months later, she met a military guy who was stationed at the base here. They got married in about 3 months. He moved her to the United States. They got a baby. They built a family. They've been gone now at least 5 years, 6 years.
But see, that's what I'm saying. That's my level of experience.
That's what she wanted. I know women here who do not want to go to the United States, who some of them want to go study in the United States to get their law degree or their medical degree and come back, right? But they don't want to live in the United States. And they have family that's in the United States. One of the three students that I had came from one of the richest families in Honduras. They have property in Boston. They live in Boston, sometimes half of the year. But they're here 90% or 80% of the times. And the kids...
That's not the case on most of these situations. If put like this, if we was going overseas, right? Yeah. And the middle class and the elite in each country was throwing themselves at our feet, right? I say you have a point. But that's not the case. The case is that these women are opportunists, and they taking the opportunity on our fractured culture here in America, dealing with our women, or they taking our, you know what I'm saying? They taking advantage of our men wanting these allegedly exotic women. That's what they say. All they do is say, oh, them chicks out there exotic. But let's be honest, anything you're not used to would be considered exotic.
Exactly. These are just normal chicks in their country. They're not exotic at all.
I'm using their lingo.
Right, I understand.
These brothers I see that do this, this is the lingo they use. They said they're exotic women, and they're going out, and now they're getting these women that's at like the bottom half of the economy there, and these women are opportunists. And like if we push it to tell guys, hey, look, you know what? These women are opportunists. You know what I'm saying? They looking.
Well, I would say this. If you are at the bottom or near the bottom of any society, you would be an opportunist if someone is catering to your community that can offer you a better economy. If there was a certain group of men that was coming to America and making themselves available to black women at the bottom of our society, they would be chasing those men. So they're not, these women, I would say, if that's your assumption, they're not doing anything any other woman or any other group of people wouldn't do. The thing is, with regard to you're getting approached by the upper class of the society, I think you would know more than most that those societies you need to be introduced to. So you would need to at least establish yourself in the society at some level. You need to have ownership of something. You need to own a particular business or industry or technology or something where you become noteworthy and they know your name or they know your business and they're aware of who you are. You attend certain business functions where they are also present. And Latin America is it's a closed culture. If they don't know you, you could be on the periphery forever.
Mm-hmm.
Once they know you and they let you in, you get introduced to everybody. And I think if you, like in New York, you have the East Side, which is East Harlem, which is Spanish Harlem. And one of the things I learned, because I grew up and I had friends in Spanish Harlem, is that I used to go to this place called Ipanema. It was a club downtown. And the first 2 times I went there, I went by myself. Girls were fine. Couldn't get no dance. And I could dance. I went back with a friend of mine. He introduced me to his homeboys. And then they had a bunch of girls with them. I was in the crew. We're laughing and talking. All of a sudden, this chick came over to me and asked me if I wanted to dance. So once you're in, you're in. You can't just be on the outskirts. Brothers are going to have to learn the language because there's a barrier there.
My biggest thing is, like I said, I'm cool with it. I really don't care what dudes do. But like I said, if they're going to have this conversation, tell a whole story. Because, I'm being honest. These guys go to Latin America because they got a fetish with these type of women. Because but they try to sell it in a pack that, no, these women are so submissive. All this kind of, no, stop. Because if that was the case, why don't you go to Africa? Because West Africa got submissive women. East Africa has submissive women. But what they do is they have a fetish.
The ticket may be more pricey. You know, you might have to pay $2,500 to go to Africa.
What I'm saying is like they telling black men only half of the story. They telling black men half of the story, and instead of saying, "Hey, look, you know what? I got a fetish with these type of women. These what I consider exotic." Because now, and they try to frame it to these women as being more submissive. Well, let's be honest. You have leverage over them women. These women have something that you need, in compared to the U.S. women.
I disagree with you on that.
Well, logic. Do you have?
1 second, Definite G. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because the women are submissive, and they're all feminine. If you are dealing with a woman for money, she's going to be naturally the same woman she would be if you weren't dealing with her for money. The only thing is, in the interaction with you, she don't really know you like that. She's dealing with you because she knows she could get paid. That's one thing. If you were to be in that country long enough and meet women who are not in that social crowd near the hotel or the B&B in the tourism places, you would find that the women you meet outside of those areas are equal to or even more submissive. And if you try to take them to a restaurant or some social club in the area where those type of women socialize, she will tell you outright, no, I will not go there with you, because they know it's a reputation thing. They wouldn't want any friend or family members to even see them in that area. So as it pertains to the female's behavior, they're not putting on their femininity. They're just being themselves as a woman, but it's something that many black men are unaccustomed to. So they look at it as like, whoa, this is a big thing. It's not a big thing. It's just the way the culture is and the females are. It's normal. For us,
you got to realize when you go.
I want to say something about that too, real quick.
And when you go to these places, they know you're American. They know you have some level of wealth, whether it's temporary or whether you say, I'm gonna get my bag up and I'm gonna go over here. They know you have some level of wealth, right?
Right.
They will submit to it. It's the same thing in America.
No,
Well,
that is
let
wrong.
me finish though. Let me finish though. Let me finish
Okay,
though.
yeah.
Oh, I'm just saying.
Sure, go ahead. Sure.
Women in America submit the money also, but like we don't need as much overseas. You just said you can go to Thailand, Philippines, you can go to South America. You don't need as much money to make these women submit. That's why it's easier, and they do it easier because it's pennies on a dollar to make them submit. They're not submitting to you, your will as a man. They're submitting to what they assume you got, what they assume you can do for them, just like American women.
Well, I will say
So
this.
do you have an
and
issue
I'm
with
not
the
sure.
intent logic? The reason why you have the issue with the
No,
intent why
I don't.
black men are going overseas?
You remember I said I don't have a reason with it. I just think we're not being fully transparent on a conversation. That's all I said.
I'll
Well,
add two
They can do
things to
whatever they
that.
want
it
to
goes
do.
back.
1 second.
Mhm.
What I would say, hold on 1 second, Definite G. What I would say with regard to the fully transparency, I think men are coming back and they're relating the part of the story that they're experiencing. I don't think it's too new with this wave that's happening now. Excuse me, for them to talk about long-term relationships and marriage for us to see that. Right now, guys are traveling to meet women and in most cases to have sex with women, to take them out, spend time with them. Now, whether it's in America or whether it's in some other country, if a woman finds you attractive enough to want to spend time with you and knowing that spending time with you, she's going to get something out of it financially, she's going to be nice to you for that. But in terms of being feminine, the women in Latin America, that's how they are. I've been in Nicaragua, beautiful dark-skinned Indian women down there. They will do anything for you. I was just relating a story the other day. I think I was on Anton's channel, and I remembered it. When I first came to this country, I had went on a business trip up in Trujillo. That's the north of the country. And my partners had ran out. They didn't come with no money. I didn't find out, and they wanted me to pay for everything. So I got pissed off, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And one of them was even a family member, so I was pissed off. And anyway, we cut the trip short by 3 days. On our way back, I had to pay for their bus fare for us to take the private bus back to the city. While I was waiting, the person who was taking care, you give them your passport and they write out your ticket and whatnot. They gave them all their tickets and everybody else's tickets, and she left me for last. I was pissed off. But it was this chick that walked in, fine, had on nice little heels, jeans, long black hair, gorgeous. But I was in a pissed off mood, so I'm like, fuck it, I ain't even gonna say nothing to her. When I got on the bus, they put me right next to her. I was like, get the fuck out of here. So I'm sitting next to her. My partners are sitting behind me. So they passed me a drink. Once the bus got on the road, they were passing me a drink. And I was like, just in a bad mood. I wasn't even looking back. So she tapped me on the shoulder and I ignored her. So she actually got the bottle, got the cup, poured me a drink and said, hey, she said in Spanish, su hermanos, paselo. So she told me my brother passed me this. So I said, okay, thanks, gracias. So I gave the bottle back to my homie, my cousin. In any event, as I drank the drink, I got a little relaxed and my attitude kind of like swayed. So she kept trying to talk to me. But I was only in the country like 3 months. I came down here in September and this was like November. I pulled out a translation English-Spanish dictionary. And it was like a 2.5 to 3 hour ride. I talked to her through a freaking dictionary, bro. She gave me her number. I asked her if she could come and see me. She said yes. She said, but I have to come and meet her family first. So we made arrangements. I went to meet her family, met her mom, her brother, her sister, and a month later, she came up and she visited me and we spent time together. We dated for 6 months. If the woman is interested in you, even if there's a language barrier, bro, she will make a way to communicate with you.
Yeah.
She didn't know who I was. She didn't know how much money I got. Obviously, once we started trying to talk, she realized that I'm not I'm not from Honduras, and she knew that I couldn't speak Spanish. But she approached me.
But Mr. Lee,
Yeah.
let's be honest now. Come on now. Now, come on, Mr. Lee. Let's be honest. For the most
Well,
part, when these dudes is running around in Latin America, America shine off. I mean, come on now. They can see an American from a mile away.
Absolutely.
Mr.
I wouldn't
Logic,
disagree with that.
it goes back to what I said, or like my little speech, the cost benefit analysis. Mr. Lee, she didn't know that, Mr. Lee probably didn't know the amount of money that he had, and he had to take out a dictionary to communicate with her. Try that stuff on an American woman. You pull out a translator or stuff. Crap out of you. Wait. Let me. Not all. I know not all, but let me finish. Let me finish.
See, look, but don't try to argue your point, or don't try to force a stand that I didn't take.
No, I'm not saying that. But let me finish. Let me finish my.
Well, but you're trying to present something that I'm not taking a stand that you're trying to say. What I'm saying is, obviously, just understand that these women, you dirty but ugly in America. You go to Latin America, guess what you is? Still dirty and but ugly, right? Physical attraction is a thing, right? But if these women is
I will say this, that I wouldn't just say for Latin women, but what I found, women in general, physical attraction is not like number one or high up on the scale as it is with Black women. Between physical attraction and height, Black women hold that to a much higher requirement than other women that are non-American Black would look at you. Because I know, I mean, I'm not an ugly dude by far, but I also have a way where I know how to talk to women. But in general, when I've met women, whether it's in Africa or whether it's in Latin America, there's some women I could walk up to and she'll look at me and turn right back around and ignore me. And then there are other women I walk up to and she'll start talking to me and give me play where the other woman didn't give me play. No different than experiences I've had in the United States. And they can tell that I'm not natural to the country, but they find me interesting enough to engage in a conversation to get to know more about me. And I think what you may be overlooking is the fact that, yes, they see them as American. They may be butt ugly, as you say, right? But they may be in those areas now where they're paying to play. But if they continue to go there and they are getting their money right, or their money is already right, and they're looking for opportunities there, as they begin to get a foothold in that country, they will deal with women that are not pay for play. And those women more than likely will be more prettier than the pay for play chicks.
And let me finish what I have. Let me finish my statement real quick.
Hold up. Mr. Lee, I can agree with that. But that's still a dream. It's still hoping, because most of the areas these men go to are safe havens. And most of the areas they go to is known to be full of Americans. So now that's why all these women flock to these areas, because they got to take their stab at an American man that the possibility to give them a green card and make them live a better life than what they perceive. Also, how do the men in that culture look at the women? Them are the bottom of the barrel women. But if you, like you say, if you get in, you expand out besides them certain tourist areas, I agree with you. It maybe is a possibility. But I'm gonna quit hogging the mic. Go ahead.
Yeah, cool. Let me finish what I had to say. Because again, like if the only way, or at least one of the ways to at least have a submissive woman over here is that I have to make, $100,000. It's going to take me probably a few decades to get there, depending on the situation, or it might not. If I had to get to that level first before a woman can actually submit to me. But if that's already a part of the culture in another country, country, regardless of social standing, like wouldn't that be like a lot better if I could just go over there, obviously not be lazy and just be like a bump of the log, but people gonna do whatever they want to do. But at the same time, if that's just instilled in the culture, which is over here, it's not, what do you think those men are gonna go to? Like, I don't have to do all this, go through all these hurdles and all these loops just to get a decent woman, but then I go over here and that's just a part of who they already are.
No,
like, what do you think the men are gonna do?
You literally prove my point. You know that, right? You literally prove my point. You got to be a man with wealth in America to get your selection of women, right? But if you go up there, you can have little money, but our currency would translate to more money over there. So you can make $50,000 a year. You go over there and visit every now and then, your wealth then transfer to 100,000 to probably 150,000. So what you just did is now you became that wealthy man to them.
So what's wrong with that?
Just prove the point. Yeah, well, like, what's the wrong problem with that? Also, but like,
I don't see nothing wrong with it.
But with Mr. Lee's illustration. But Mr. Lee's illustration, she didn't know where he stood on the social ladder of America, but she still was a decent woman at the end of the day. He had to pull out a dictionary, and she still got on a date with him.
Because she knew it. It's crazy.
She didn't know his social standing, though.
She knew Americans. See, I could look, get out and travel. Where your passport at? You need to get one. Travel.
I'll get one. No, I will.
You need to get one. Because see, when you travel to these countries, right?
Well, and my question, Logic, is why is that viewed as a negative?
No, it's not. What I'm telling you,
my question as well.
See, it's not. My stand is not as negative. I'm telling him the same standard that's in America is in them countries. It just, you can leverage your currency longer. And now you got a bonus too, because they want to come to America. That green card is a bonus. So but I'm not hating.
I will say, I think what you guys are misunderstanding, or maybe what some people might misperceive, is that the people who are rushing the southern border of the United States, most of them come from the most poverty. The people whose lives are good in their country, they're not rushing the borders to come to the United States. I have met people who want to go to the US, and I have met people who want to stay in their country right where they are. So I think when you meet a woman, especially if you're meeting a woman that is pay for play, 9 times out of 10, that woman is not looking for you to take her to the US. She's been doing that for several years, and she's going to continue to do that for several years. That's her business. That's how she make her money.
Yeah, she's going to stay in her country because that's where the money is.
Right. She's not looking to marry you to get a green card to come to the United States. No. She see herself that she could do that for 5-10 years or whatever, make her money, squirrel it away, do what she needs to do in her country, buy herself a house. You don't know what these women are planning, man. They will use you to get their money to get what they want over there. Not all of them are looking to come to the US. So if you're frequenting a market, frequent that market. I think what it shows is that there's so many men in America who are unappreciated that because they now go
that's
overseas,
what I was going to touch on,
and they're finding a certain level of appreciation for little, that they're saying, wait a minute, hold on a second. If I can make my money multiply itself exponentially 20 times, 40 times, 50 times, 100 times, I don't know what the exchange rate is in Colombia, but whatever it is, if I can do that and it increase my spending power, and I can meet women, attractive women, because one thing I will say, being in Latin America, and it was a shock to me when I first came here. You can look at one girl and say, damn, she's fine. And the next girl will pass by, she's finer than that one. And the next one will come by, you're like, God, yo, man, you will fucking fall in love 10 times. You will find so many and then right one after the other. You'll be like, you go home and you think you walked into an oasis.
But Mr. Lee, this is the
just
thing.
Like you said,
it's just, I think it's a societal shift.
Yeah.
But
That
and just like you
one,
said,
the
Mr. Lee,
women are
like
attractive, and two, they're not hard to approach. And whether or not they're open to you because of your money, it's no different than a woman in the United States or Europe being open to you because of your money. So if you're a man that lives a middle-class life and you make 60, 75, 80 grand a year, and you could go to Colombia and you could get the same level of receptivity from a woman there as a man here making 250, 300, $500,000 or more, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
and Jay,
Mr.
real quick, Jay, I want to say this. I'm gonna let you rock. Real quick, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna let you rock.
Jay, after
Like,
that, after Definite G, I want to hear your comment.
yeah, like, and just like that, like, you get like a 9. Like being like trying to get a 9 and 10 over here. You got to be at a certain social status to get even access to even in their area. But then you have a 9 and 10, and you don't need to be. It's just common, or at least it's more frequent. Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think is gonna happen? All right, Jay, I'll let you rock.
Yeah,
And just
and
proves your
Mr.
point, Jay.
Yeah,
Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee, they've been doing. See, this is the thing. White men have been doing this for a long time. They've been doing it. Remember back in the Vietnam War when they went over to like Vietnam and these other countries, and the white men, they went ahead and found these Asian women and brought those Asian women back over to America. White men have been doing this for a long time. It's just that now that a lot of the brothers are starting to catch up to what's been going on for years and years and years.
That's why I said the black man, we're the last one to the party, bro. We just figuring out what every other man have been doing for decades past. And I think there are going to be mistakes. There are going to be questionable reasons as to why. But I think that's the way of life when you're trying something out new and you're just entering a market. So I think we have to let this thing flush out over the next few years and see how brothers move. Because as brothers get more advanced and experience in overseas dating and deal with women, the reports will change. They will be able to take new guys that are coming in and introduce them straight into the society as opposed to going left into dealing with women who are pay for play. So I think it's just a matter of time because you have brothers who are setting up operations in these foreign countries. They're opening restaurants, they're buying buildings, they're opening up business. I mean, guys are looking to take advantage of how their US dollar stretch longer over there, and they're looking for opportunities to take advantage. Granted, the chicken head type of dudes, they just want to, you know what, they got whatever kind of job they make, $2 grand a month or $3 grand a month. They can save up every 6 months and they can squirrel away 1,500 or 2 G's and make a trip and spend a week, 8 to 10 days and do their thing. That market is not only there for black men, it's there for white men, it's there for Arab men, it's there for every man. They're going to take care of that market, whatever. But there are other aspects to that country that's going to be beneficial for other men who have higher expectations, higher accomplishments, and are looking for something greater with regard to the woman that they're looking to choose, whether it's an American or foreign.
So, and I'm gonna do this. This is what I like to do. Watch this. Define G. You standing on your ground, right? Can you buy land in Thailand?
I do not know.
You not know.
Say the question again.
No. I want to talk to you, Mr. Lee. You exempt because I'm talking about these niggas.
I just want to hear it so I can follow the conversation.
No, well, here's the thing. It's just me. I'm just hearing the conversation, and I'm like, okay, they do have points.
Wait, you're not the first person, so don't take offense to what I'm saying. So you say you don't know about Thailand, right? What about Colombia?
I don't know. I've never been overseas.
What about Mexico? See now, see, this is what I'm saying, Mr. Lee. They see this on YouTube. They going over there to get a piece of pussy. See, like you should know that all you need in Colombia to buy land is a passport. But guess what?
Do you really know my intention if I were to ever go over? I'm like, you assuming a lot, but come on, man.
Go ahead and sit back, man, and go ahead and matter of fact, fill out your passport application first. So now,
okay, I'll do that first. Yeah.
So, like, if they look at it from that perspective, Mr. Lee, I'm game. If they
No, but I think
game.
logic. Sometimes not every man that gets on a plane and fly to a country have long-term expectations in that country. I think why a lot of brothers are going to Colombia is because it's hot. It's the new, it's the new in thing. And they're going there, yes, to meet the women and to have sex with attractive women.
That's it.
But
They want
that may just be your entry. There are other
Yeah, that
men that
could be
might go
entry.
there and say, you know what? I like this place. I like this country. After going there 3-4 times, I might want to see if there's an opportunity. I might want to settle down here 15 years from now and start making
And that-
plans.
Well,
Buying
Mr.
this, getting into business,
And that's
getting
why
a
I said,
hotel.
Logic, like,
Yeah.
why, like, do you have the issue with the intent of the dudes going over
As
to
a
those
more
countries?
mature
That's why I
man,
said that in the
you could
beginning.
think long term. As a more mature man, you could think long term. A
Okay, but see-
25-year-old guy, a 23-year-old guy cannot think the way you would think because you have more life experience. Myself, likewise. So we would look at that. That's why I say I do have a problem with the guys who are traveling just for sex. I do have a problem with that. But
I have a
the
gripe with
point
that
is,
too, a little bit.
I
Yeah.
know sometimes.
Hold
I
on,
know
Mr. G.
sometimes.
Mr.
I
Lee,
know some. Yeah.
my point is that on this platform, what I say don't exist is Dick Disman, right? And everybody say it do. I fight with them all the time about this Dick Disman, right? And you got a whole movement that's going over there to get a nut. And let's be honest, you're getting nuts by the same chicks. So now this is crazy. We got a whole.
No, I wouldn't say you're getting nuts by the same chicks.
Mr.
No.
Lee, them areas that they go to is a
Same block
rope.
of chicks.
Look, hey, Mr. Lee, soon as you fall out that
Logic. Let me explain to you how it happens there. The women come to the area around the hotel where they stay, and the restaurants and clubs there are the clubs where service foreign people. And so the women that come there deal with the men there. And
Well,
then
Mr.
you can take them, and then sometimes you could take them back to your Airbnb or whatever.
Yes.
So it's not like they're going to
Let's keep it
a
funky.
sex-driven area, but it's known that these restaurants or these clubs will have women who, want to have a good time if you're going to pay for a good time.
No, Mr. Lee, every American area around the world, foreign chicks will flood to it. If you don't believe me, go to overseas military bases, overseas Navy ports. If they know that American men is there on a constant basis, they will flood there. And
I understand that.
But and my point I'm making is that they going over there to be opportunists. And this is what happens. Once you leave and get on that plane,
Another guy gonna come and get
another guy's there. So we will
Right,
call.
but that's my point. What is the problem with that? Because you know what?
No,
White men.
Yeah, I
hold
still
on.
see
White
no.
men
Yeah.
were doing that decades before.
Y'all trying to
we were even-
y'all trying to
before we were
misrepresent what I'm
there.
saying. Let me say it first. The point I'm making is that we would call that in America wet.
Tricking.
We would call them 304s, right?
Tricking.
home trickers. He tricking.
Simping,
So
yeah.
now you really, it's a YouTube movement to go suck and fuck on 304s. And it's just a foreign 304. So if we talk, we have all these conversations about avoid 304s. But I'm almost done. I'm almost done, Ms. Lee. We have all these conversations on YouTube about avoiding 304s. But it's a whole nother movement within that same branch that said avoid the American 304s, but go overseas and kiss on them 304s. Like, how do we sound as men?
A lot of them
The
dudes
thing
ain't
is,
got no
if-
game
if-
over here, so they're gonna take it
what I would say-
overseas.
what I would say, if men were having the same level of access to the 304s in the United States, they wouldn't be going overseas. The problem is they're not having the
Exactly.
access to the 304s in the United States at all. So that is squeezing
And-
them out of the market. So they're looking for a market where they can play.
Yes, but the
And
market
also, like, well,
still,
yeah, well,
it's still
One second,
American
one second.
version market because it's
Second,
pay to play.
definitely.
You
Say
need
again?
money to get chicks in America for the most part. It's the same thing
True.
overseas. It's just that you don't have to be a six-figure man to go over there and have money. So it's the same playground.
But you know what it does? You know what it's like having sex with a fine bitch? Even if you're paying for it overseas and you do it 2, 3, 4 times a year, it's motivation to get your shit up, motivation to make more money. motivation to do better, motivation so you can go over there and build over there if that's your determination, own business, and then get a chick that's not dealing with that and build and get a fine chick. Instead of, we always talk about men marrying down in America. You go to Latin America, you're marrying a chick that's more submissive, you're marrying a chick that's feminine, you're marrying a chick that's an 8 or higher on the attractive scale.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a woman that's down with you. You not got a woman that's with you just for your money.
But they are.
Yeah, and I wanted to let me say something real quick. Let me say something real quick.
Let me just explain this. When men in the patriarchy, when men chose their daughter's husband, those men had to have an economic level to be able to provide for that man's daughter as he provided for his daughter, both in security and overall well-being and safety. So to act as though money does not have a part in a man's providing for a woman is crazy.
Mr. Lee, you misrepresent my point again. I said for the 5th time, it's literally the same playing field. It's only reason that the fine G can go over there and get bitches get women in these foreign countries compared to America is because his money stretched longer over there. Look, if the fine G was to go to the same places and be broke, you know what? He'll probably get the same amount of attention he get here. None. I'm just using you as an example. I don't know if you get attention.
Well, let me say something real quick. Mr. Lee kind of dismantles everything that you just said.
Well, I will say this.
Like,
hold on one second,
Mr. Lee dismantled.
Hold on one second right here. This guy right here, Sugar Bomb, Logic done made Mr. Lee call himself a trick. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't have an issue tricking. I do not have an issue tricking. One thing I know is that all pussy is designed to make you come.
Facts.
And I like fine bitches. And I tell you more than one thing. I've hung out in clubs in the US, and if a chick I approach turned me down, I know I could walk up to another chick and whisper in her ear and tell her, let's get out of here.
Facts.
I take her to the Millennium and I would have a good fucking time. I drop a 400 on the table when I leave and I'm out. And I don't give a shit.
That's what those CEOs and big execs do.
Is because you're too damn broke.
I know.
And I would see you
Rich
trying to
people do it all
rap
the
to her
time.
next week at the same damn club, and she'd be looking at me like, "What are you up to, Lee?"
And the thing is, with
that freaking shit is for broke. That's broke men talk. Because when you get up in the world, everybody on the planet want to find women.
Oh yeah.
And if you got money, you travel around the world and get the finest bitch on every continent. So I don't know what you guys are talking about.
And logic.
No, it's crazy.
Logic.
Wait,
let me give a point out. I've been waiting. I've been patient.
You can go ahead and bust me upside the head, right? Look, the women is triggered. Mr. Lee for saying that, and the dudes is triggered for me for just saying my point of view. But I guarantee you, now one of them cam up because I want to see them bumping face niggas with not their one legs cam up. That's why you niggas want to go to Colombia so bad, because she will fuck you with one leg and a bumping face because you damn near goddamn you in the middle class working at fucking UPS. So that's why you niggas want to go, oh, let me go overseas. Yes, to get a piece of pussy. And you still ain't gonna have, if you ain't got no game in America, god damn it, you ain't gonna have no game over there.
You're right about that on your last part. You're right about that. But logic, Mr. Lee kind of dismantles everything you say. Yes, those men would at first go over there for just to bust them down. You're right. And the money will stretch a lot longer. But they're gonna, if they want to stay in the culture a lot longer, get to know the people, get to know the culture, they might change their mind and they might even stay over there. And guess what? Their money stretches a lot longer. They might fly back just to get more money or just, get the situation a lot better. But then that will be their intention at first, to get some ass. But then like, oh, wait, you know what? I really like this country. I really like the people here. I really like the culture. I might stay, or I might frequent the country, not only just for, a piece of ass, but just to enjoy the company there. So but there, Mr. Lee dismantles everything you just said.
You know how you shit on your own argument? Because you use the words if maybe you're shitting on your own.
I can't control people.
Wait, goddamn, nigga. I wish I could punch the shit out of your ass.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Argument, because if a female was to get up here and have a conversation with us and she used the words if and maybe, we would destroy her ass. Because now,
come on, Logic.
Certain. And now, even though Mr. Lee have a answer, if men can do that, if these men was going over there to get land in Colombia, I would, you know what? I would shut the fuck up. It should be a Colombian land movement. Now, if that was the case, the pussy come with the land. But it's a Colombia pussy movement. And these niggas going back and forth, sucking and fucking on the same hoes. So, nigga, you wrong. And if you was close to me, I'd punch in your shit for saying this shit on the internet.
Logic, come on.
Logic,
that you can't control people, though. That's the thing.
Definitely. Hold up a second. What I would say this, right?
Oh
I think
God.
we have to stop underestimating brothers and how brothers can move. You know, we have a way of taking over shit as when we get into the game. And
Exactly.
I can see in the next decade that brothers are not only going to be buying properties in these foreign countries, because Colombia is not going to be the final stop. Colombia is just the stop now. Matter of fact, when I was on Wall Street back in 1996, there used to be a website called Brown Sugar. That was nothing but Cali women, C-A-L-I, Colombian women from Cali. And if you know, there's Cali, there's Bogota, the capital, and there's Cartagena. Those are the three places where you will find the most attractive women in some guys say Barranquilla, but I've never seen women from Barranquilla, so I don't know that, right? But I think it's not unheard of or not out of the sight of possibility that we could see black men investing overseas and buying up land in major ways to come. And I think because you have such an insight as an older brother, yes, I would like to see that too. But I'm not going to look to pigeonhole a man because he's 23 or 25 and he's looking for sex. Because by the time he's 29 and 32, he's going to be looking to do something else. His money is going to be right. He's going to be better. He's going to get that itch out of his system. And if he goes, whether there or other places, he's going to have a more familiarity and a comfortability dealing with women. And you have to learn to have that comfortability dealing with women. Once you do, women are the same all over the world, pretty much. It's just a language and a cultural differences. And once you break past the attraction barrier, you have inroads. So I think however a man come to the point where he can learn to be better with women, I'll give grace to that. Pay for it now, get your skills, and then rap later. It all depends. I'm not just going to say because he's paying for it now, he's always going to be a man that pay for cooch. Okay, Trey, the NBD. Welcome to, I'm sorry, wait a second. Trigger Mike is first, and then it's you, Trey.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I'm going to drop off. But Mr. Lee, you said exactly what I was saying. Mr. Logic, I continue to disagree with you. You got some great points. Yes, you're right. You got men have to watch themselves overseas because it's not the same as America. But again, you can't control people and what they're gonna do. But you guys have a good one. Great show, Mr. Lee.
So wait, don't you
great show.
I'm not misrepresenting you, man. Look, I'm sorry. You young brothers. Look, I didn't say nothing wrong with you going over there getting a box. But I'm saying, let that be known. Now, if it's other opportunities that I'm saying, because we talk about all this financial stuff, we talk about buying land, that is a prime position to do it. But then, if you niggas just go over there to fuck, isn't that called a lack of dick discipline?
Well, I will say this. Hold on one second, definitely.
To each their own, man.
So buying land in a foreign country, you got to get to know the laws in that country and what the requirement is. Like in the Philippines, you can't buy land like that. No, you have to be married to the woman, and the property would remain in the woman's family's name. So you can't, even as a man, you can't do that. And
Mr. Lee,
there are other places in Latin America where they do permit you to buy land if you spend X amount of money. Like if you're spending $50,000 or $100,000 or more, you can buy land, you can own a business, and once you are an investor, you can even get a citizenship in the country. So different country operates differently. So these guys are young; they got to find their way, Logic, and I think you're not giving the brothers an opportunity to find their way.
I am, because now define G. the information I just told you about where you can go to buy land and where you can't go to buy land. This is something new to you, right?
Yeah, this is new to me.
That's all I want, and it's a whole bunch of ninjas in the chat. Like I said, I'm gonna give them all angles. Yes, is a pussy sideways? Yes, it is. But guess what? I'm telling you, get something with that nut. Get something. You got to have something that's more beneficial than what you get in America. You can take your money, you can flip it 50 million times. I'm with it. Thailand, Philippines is prohibited. You can't do that. Matter of fact, right. I think Philippines is kind of opened up a little bit, but I know Thailand for a fact is prohibited. So now I'm just saying, I'm just telling you all angles, deeper than a pussy angle, because you'll get in there and you got dudes that say, hey, come to Thailand. Why? So you can give the family land? That's all you're going to do is give the family some land. Don't do it. Go to Colombia. Shit, I heard
that being said,
so I'm just trying to go all the way up.
And I completely
and I think definitely from the business standpoint,
Cooch,
that's
actually
right.
So I'm gonna dip out. You guys have a good one.
Sure. So guys who have channels and are developing a network down there, they're the guys that can really speak to that. You know what I'm saying? Logic, like BMT and guys like that, they can really add more to the value of that longer term perspective. But not everybody that go to Colombia for sex may decide to stay in Colombia. They may wind up going to Africa. They may wind up going someplace else. So Colombia might just be the opening of the gateway for them to start exploring traveling. You know, sex is a physical urge, so it has maybe a more precedent for them to want to do it now rather than later. But starting out, going out for sex may open a whole new world to them to traveling overall and what the benefits of traveling can do with investment opportunities in various countries. And I think I just don't want to say, you know what, if you're going there for sex, just say you're going there for sex. Because when you go there, depending on how long you stay, you'll get exposed to more of the country. You can't stay in your hotel all day long and just fuck all day long. Your dick is going to be sore. So straight up.
Hey, Mr. Lee, another warning too. Mr. Lee, you know I just left Philippines, right?
Say again?
I just left Philippines probably last month. Okay. Watch out for them nigga dudes. They out there. See, you niggas don't know. And see, and then one of them nigga dudes gonna drop something in your goddamn drawers and you ain't gonna know. They out there full, what they call them, lady boys? Somebody
lady boys.
Yeah, that's one thing I know about the Philippines. I would never go there for that.
You go there to bust somebody down and you'll fuck around and get bust down. See, you niggas need to research some shit. And you need
get that monkeypox.
You go to these areas because you going over there trying to get a nut and you get nutted on.
Logic, bro. These dudes are hooking up with lady boys in Atlanta, bro. They hooking up with lady boys in Atlanta. Come on, bro.
That's what I was going to say. That too. That's in the United States. So let's act like that's, you got to go halfway across the world to do that.
If he gonna get a fine lady boy, he might as well travel for it if that's their thing.
Okay, Trigger Mike. Good afternoon. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. How's my microphone? It was messing up.
You good? You good?
Yeah, you good, man.
All right. Okay. I don't even want to so what topic would you like for me to speak on? Because
Well, one, obviously the SYSBM topic is abroad.
Okay.
But more specifically, I had asked 3 questions at the end of my monologue. And I really wanted to address the reason why do you think black women don't respect black men? And I wanted to get, 3 responses for that. Initially, what we have right now is primarily power. That's one of the things that we've kind of sifted down through why black women don't look at black men with respect or to give them respect. What do you have to add to that?
I think it's more of an intrinsic problem. There is, I think I tried to say this a little bit earlier. The black community has a unique issue where there is an intermediary standing between black men and black women called the U.S. government. So we
but
don't.
That's for every immigrant. That's also
Yeah.
exists for every immigrant that comes to America. So
True,
it's
true.
not really true.
And the reason I called it an intrinsic problem is because I believe one, Black women are birthing and raising sons that they would not date themselves. So it's more of the issue of keeping the father out of the home and raising boys and not kind of striving to have the father in the kid's life. That kid growing up to be someone who doesn't have the characteristics and values that a woman would ultimately respect in her adulthood. So I think that's one reason. The other is
that's a masculinity issue, you would say.
That's a masculinity issue on one end. Another reason is that it's on the women. I always say, and you'll hear me for the 3,000th time, Black women have an issue of fraternizing with the lowest ranking member of the group. They have created some kind of fake pseudo masculinity that they find sexy. Whether it's thugism, hoodism, it has nothing to do with the characteristics of a functional male, right? So that because there will be way more Black men, because as we know, most Black men don't have kids and are in the middle class. So if all it took was for a man to have a stable job, as you were saying, Mr. Lee, you go somewhere, the woman notices that you're somebody of good character, she comes back to your spot, you have a home for yourself, a bed and everything. That's something the average woman would want to build with. I can build from here, but it's a little bit harder with our women. They have on rose-colored glasses or whatever you want to call it. They believe they're supposed to be starting at a higher level because of whatever, social media, or they've been told they have the power and they work too. But I believe that's an entirely false narrative. So they don't have respect because they, on one end, they created a problem for themselves with their own false expectations. They're
setting the bar too high.
No, they're not even setting the bar too high. They want Ghost from Power. They want a nigga that works for Wall Street and shoots people in the street. It's weird.
Okay.
So that's a completely false narrative. And third, what I will say for the men, and this is an indictment on men in America, we lack a certain seriousness. And we allow I think, this goes to more to what Logic was saying. I don't like the term dick discipline, but it's just lack of discipline, period. Overly emotional, and we have no resolve. And I believe when you look at some of the circumstances that Black men in general face, it's as if we had no self-control to differentiate ourselves from women. So, the women are looking at a man that's just as emotional as them, and they will ultimately not end up respecting him.
Okay. All right. Trey, what's that? NBD. What does NDB stand for? You're on mute.
Yeah, man. NBD, that's my old Yahoo screen name from back in the 90s when I was in college. Nasty Black Dog. Way back when the original Yahoo Messenger was out, man. That's what I went by.
Okay. All right. So tell me, what's your contribution to this conversation today?
Oh man, I mean,
welcome to Stage Talk, by the way. It's your first time, right?
No, I've been on Lapeef before.
You've been on the panel before? Okay, yeah, appreciate it.
But not on your show. We spoke over on Bernard Riley's.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you probably recognize the dog.
Yes, that I recommend. Okay. Yeah, that I recognize. Yeah.
Yeah, we I'm real tight with the SYSBM Knights, a couple of them, and I'm really, I've been living that lifestyle since 2003 when I first went to Germany in the military. And it just naturally came to me. And so when I found SYSBM brothers, I linked up with a couple. I'm not a card carrying member, but they say, hey man, you walk the talk and you live it. Been doing it forever. My father did it before me. His uncles before him. From World War II and the Korean War. And the argument, I don't know which one it is. SYSBM passport. They're being lumped together. SYSBM is something completely separate from what the passport bros are doing.
True.
There might be a little some meshing right there, but saving yourself, you don't have to leave this country. You don't even have to leave your state or your city to save yourself. I mean, there's plenty of options. You just have to get yourself away from the community. It is what it is, man. I mean, at this point, the community is at critical mass. And you just got to make a choice as a brother. That's why you look it up. Anybody look it up, the tenets, you can Google it and say, is this for me? If it is, it is. If it isn't, hey, do you. But I'll just leave it there at that, because we've been talking about the passport thing. And I'm traveled. I lived in Honduras before. Salute to you, fellow Cutracho. I lived in Comayagua and traveled Comayagua, where the base is at.
Comayagua, okay, yeah.
Where the new airports is at. I was, in the military there. I lived and worked in San Pedro Sula, Sambo Creek. Did some work out in Jutiapa, where Left Eye Lopez people are from.
Okay.
And, living down there, that was my first experience, like living and seeing, a completely different culture. And what Logic is saying is true. If you circle yourself within like a mile block of the base down there, that's it. Other than that, as soon as you get outside of that radius, all bets are off. And that's I've been to 21 countries, and it's been that way everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I impress upon brothers this: hey, if you want to settle down and build a life somewhere, learn the language and the culture first off, because if not, you're gonna be dealing with the leftover women. And that was the same when I lived in Japan as it was when I was, in Haiti. Mm-hmm. Don't matter. Don't even matter this complexion. That don't matter. Right. But here's the deal.
Make sure you tell them, if you go down there to them chicks and you've been somewhere Mr. Logic been, and you see a tattoo on back said Mr. Logic is here, I told you niggas.
Yeah, man. My only beef with Logic is this, man. I'm like this. If a brother wants to pay for it, man, he can go get with the ratchets of ratchets of ratchets. Man, that's all him. That's his business. Man, I'm
thinking that my argument, I'm not really against it. I'm telling you, my whole thing is dudes should be able to go get it. I'm just saying this. As an OG, I want to tell the dudes all angles of what they doing. I don't want them to go in green thinking this chick love them. I want them to go in and understand, hey, look, she's looking at you as a mark. So now you need to move accordingly. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to stop no dudes. I'm an advocate of getting out there and traveling, seeing the world, because you can learn a lot of things from different cultures.
I'll tell you this,
I would say this, Logic. Don't you think that the brothers they're hooking up with down there, when they get there, are letting them know the lay of the land?
Hell no, Mr. Lee. Everywhere I went, I had to counsel a dumb soldier for something that I'm telling the same thing I'm saying right now. And if he was in the military, he know what I'm talking about. Like, look, you know what they want. Don't fall for it. You'll get a young soldier like the Fine G that'll get out there and say, no, son, I'm gonna do what I want to do. And now he in there crying, and I got to sit here and look at him crying. Like I said, it's if you know what you're going up against, you're powerful. But most of
Logic
don't know they're going up against.
Okay, but Logic, people learn by their mistakes. That's how humans learn. We learn by trial and error. And the only way a man is going to learn his experience with women and breaking his heart is by breaking your heart. And there's no schooling or education or preventative knowledge you can give him that's going to stop him from, when he walk across that woman that turn his light bulb on, he's going to go there head first. And you could tell him all the wisdom that she's playing him until he see it, until his heart is broken. He's not going to be ready to hear what you got to say.
But I think I'll add something. Let me add something to that real quick, Logic.
Yeah,
I would just say, Mr. Lee, if that's our stand, then we need to quit talking about all the stuff we talk about. You know what? We shouldn't tell nobody nothing. We should say, you know what? Go out there and experience it and come back and let's talk about it.
Well, like you said young guys like Definite G. We're not talking about 40-year-old men. 40-year-old men should already have experience with women. 35-year-old men should have experience with women. If you're talking about 22, 23, 21, 18 years old, a man that's under 25 years of age really don't have a wide variety of experience with women. He may have had a girlfriend when he was a teenager, and he might have had a girl when he was 19 or 20, and that might have been a 1 or 2 year relationship. So he might have had 2 at max or 3 relationships in the course of those 7 years becoming a young adult. So I think sometimes we're expecting them to have more life experience than they actually have, boots on the ground, full experience with women. And they're going to experience it here in America too. The problem is, if they don't have the access to the woman, they're going to wind up being a virgin until they're freaking 40.
But Mr.
And
Lee,
that's part of the problem.
Is green. That's why they're going over the seas to get pussy.
Well, here's
So
this
what?
logic.
Green.
Let's look at
If they wasn't green, let's be honest. These dudes who have this going over the seas to get pussy movement, they're doing that because they can't get no pussy in America. They're green. So guess what? 80% of them go there and get finesse.
No. I gotta interject.
Can I speak on this?
That's not true. That's not true.
That's an assumptive statement.
That's not true.
On this one?
That's an accurate statement.
So
go good.
I'm sorry, but that's not true. There are droves of men going over there. It's like a relaxation tactic. There's literally a plethora of reasons people are going over there. Now, if you're talking about a certain age bracket of men that go over there, yes, they will get finesse because they're green to the world. There are men that go there at all ages, knowing what's going on. Like Mr. Lee said, going to learn the lay of the land. It just depends on what you're going there for. And you're still going to partake in what happens out there. But it just depends on your mental capacity to be able to separate that business component from I'm going to the spot.
I would add this. Hold on 1 second, Logic. I will add this. Even if you're going to do business, you could get finesse. Exactly. When I first came here, I started a business down here. I took a trip for 2 weeks to go meet with a client. When I came back, the office was freaking empty. Empty. I furnished the office complete with a business partner. So you can get finesse even when you're doing business.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that was a learning experience for me. I dropped like 70,000 pesos to do that. I was like
we already stated that a majority of these men is going over there to get some pussy.
No,
so now we want to move the field goal to say, oh, it might be going.
No, you're the one that brought up the investment aspect. So I'm saying even if you're doing investment,
I brought it up to say
you can get finesse too.
Yes, but I brought it up to say that these guys are not going over there for business dealings. They're going over to get laid.
And what's the problem with that? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's really what I'm saying.
I'm going, man. Why y'all keep trying to misrepresent what I'm saying?
No. Hey,
I'm asking a question. I'm not misrepresenting. I'm asking a question.
It's nothing wrong with them doing that. But the thing is, it's a reason why they're doing that. They're going over there to get pussy because they haven't been getting it in America. It's no way in America.
And why is that important? Why is that important?
It's important because they green here. They green here.
No, it's not.
That's their business, bro. And here's
the thing. Important. It's not important.
Okay, let me speak on this. Logic.
Y'all sound green right now.
Hold on, Logic.
So let me ask you something. Logic. Let me ask you something. If you only drove foreign cars, and one day you was at a Republican dinner with doing a fundraising, and one of these white boys come up to you and say, I've observed you and you've got like 3 foreign cars. I don't think you should be a Republican because you're not patriotic enough. You don't own any American cars. How would you respond to that?
You said if I only drive foreign cars and he come up to me and say I'm not patriotic because I only drive foreign cars.
Because you don't drive American cars. Why are you buying foreign cars?
I don't know. I say that's a dumbass question.
That's my point to you.
No. See,
okay. Logic.
If a man wants to have a foreign woman, doesn't mean he can't have American woman. He just wants a foreign woman.
You misrepresent what I'm saying.
Logic.
Hold up. Okay. I'm not checking for no dude getting pussy. But what I'm saying, and for a million times, the thing is, if you can't get pussy in America,
that's an assumptive.
It's an assumption that these passport dudes is not getting pussy in America.
You're speaking on quality, bro. Anybody
it's an assumption that all of them are going through that. The assumptive is all of them are going because they can't. That is an assumptive.
No, it's not.
Some of them are.
The reason this whole thing exists is because they say that these dudes, look at it, they be on the internet, they be on this channel. They green. They don't even know what pussy smell like.
Let me
Yes,
put it
you
like
know what?
this.
And if you tell them, and if they on YouTube, hey, you can go to Colombia, and all you need is like maybe $3,000, and you can have a weekend full of different pussies. Guess what they gonna do? They gonna do it. These dudes are green.
So what? But here's the deal, Logic.
That's my point. What does that matter to you?
I don't give a fuck. We having a conversation.
Okay. You take jawline dudes.
Why is that the part of the conversation?
Well, this is why.
The reason as to why. Why is
Mr.
why they're doing it is important. Go ahead.
Let me help out.
Wait, now this is insane. Wait. Hold up, player. Okay. Mr. Lee, I don't want to ever hear you ask a woman why she do what she do ever again. You finished your whole YouTube career. I can't believe you said this. Why are you doing this? I just saw you had a conversation with Tyranny the other day, and you was asking her why she do what she do.
With who?
Tyranny.
Harris. The little black chick with the afro.
The Fight Club thing. The Fight Club girl. Tyranny.
You kept asking her why she do what she do, because that's a part of the conversation.
But she's complaining about her result.
And
the men are not complaining about their result. You're making an assumptive as to why they do what they do. Say again?
The passport dudes is not complaining about their results in America.
Yes, they are.
Okay, then. So I see, Mr. Lee, I never saw you being so disingenuous. Look.
No, what I'm saying is that they're not complaining about sex. They're complaining about the quality of the women.
Boom.
No, Mr. Lee.
They complain that they can't get the quality of the woman. They complain they can't get the quality of the woman. That's what it is.
That is still quality, because here's the deal. You take jawline dudes right now, them 6'6" jawline 6-pack dudes. These daggone fat 304s are talking about they get their choice of these dudes. And my wife got homegirls that are built like that. They got jawline niggas all up in their inbox. She will whip out her phone and show her wife pictures. A jawline
niggas. Y'all, these acronyms fucking me up. What that mean?
Oh man, these six, you know the dudes,
man.
The
chiseled jawline.
The chiseled jawline dudes.
Look like football player.
Football player type dudes.
Yeah. Okay. But these dudes are all up in these big girl inboxes, and these girls' heads are gassed up.
Because they know they easy.
Yeah. So the passport cats are like, I don't want to fuck with the fat chicks. I don't want to mess with the ratchet chicks, the bust downs, regardless of what race they are. They don't want it. So you know what? I'm up and I'm gonna go get quality. Now, if that quality is looking for, some distractions while they doing business, language immersion, or they just tricking, or they looking for love, it's just better quality. Going to a country where feminism doesn't have its roots in the government, life, daggone marriages, that's great for a brother. Over here, unfortunately, that ain't the case.
No, it's not.
And I think that's where the real argument or the discussion should really be at. Because I think where it is right now, it's really at the basis level. Why are these guys going over there just for sex? Because they are incapable of having sex in the United States. That may apply to some brothers, and that could be a true statement. But it doesn't apply to all of the brothers that are doing so. And I think even the young brother who may be green, if he's going overseas and he's having sex with a woman that he's paying for, that's an 8. Physically, these women don't wear a lot of makeup overseas. What you see is what you get. They wear lipstick or a liner, maybe some eyeshadow, very little makeup. So if they're getting a woman with a lot of natural beauty, they're submissive to you, let's say because you're paying them, and they're feminine. What it does is that it's an inspiration. It's an inspiration that, you know what? Hey, if I make more money, I could come over to this country and I could find a woman that's like this. Because when they're there, they're going to, if you walk away from the hotel, you're going to see, you go to the mall, you're going to see a trove of attractive chicks.
And
so,
because let me interject in this one point, Mr. Logic, one point.
Mr. Lee, do body count matter?
Do body count matter for a woman or a man?
Yes.
Chill. I'm talking to Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, do body count matter?
For the man?
No, I ain't talking no man. I'm talking for the woman.
Okay, for the woman. It matters if you are going to marry the woman, yes.
Okay, so now what kind of advice we giving these dudes to get with these chicks that body count is worse than the biggest thought in America?
Learn the language, learn the culture. You'll be able to parse them out.
I'm going to
Just
get
like that.
I'll be back, Mr. Lee.
But what you have to understand is that these women were there providing that service before black men was aware of these countries. We're acting like all of a sudden, because black men are going to Colombia, black men are going to the Philippines, black men are going to Brazil, that all of a sudden these women are starting to give up the box because black men are showing up. No, white men and men from around the world have been going to these countries and spending their time with these women long before black men was aware.
Absolutely.
And just because we are now aware of it and are taking advantage of it, because hey, guess what? We can have sex with other women other than black women in America, because that is the new talking point. And brothers are going overseas. It's like such a big thing as to the why. It really shouldn't be a why. I don't have a problem with it.
Passport bros amongst the fellas has been big in modern history since 1917 with World War I. When the brothers couldn't serve in the American army, they joined the French army. And they saw how the French women loved them in France, Germany, Belgium, and they never came back. Yeah. You got mixed folks over there now whose great-grandfathers were American soldiers fighting for the French.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they passed it down to their cousins. They passed it down to their nephews. So it's been known. Shout out to Charles Tyler, who got it popping earlier. R.I.P. And, Al Greaves with, Frustrated. I encourage any brother in the chat, watch that documentary, Frustrated. You can be out to Brazil in a heartbeat. Austin Holloman is the man. He a young dude doing it. But you watch Frustrated by Al Greaves, brothers is out of here.
Yeah.
And I think we're just not giving black men enough respect. And now I really think maybe I should ask the question, why is it that some black men don't respect other black men's choices?
So can I speak on that real quick, because while Logic was talking, I was sitting here I'm not offended. I'm not easily offended. But I'm sitting here like I've been to a lot of these countries, especially the South American countries, Costa Rica, Mexico, Panama, all of that. And I'm like, do you not realize that men, especially black men, need to go somewhere and experience culture? And being a man, you're going to want to experience the women as well. You need, we act like dudes is only supposed to have a mind for one thing. In all these countries, I'm not even embarrassed to say it, I never had sex with any of the women. I just love the experience of the culture. That's it. So you go there, you experience what we call in the Navy, the local fare. Go out, enjoy the local fare. And that's the way they put it. So to say that we only going out there to have sex with women and get finessed, that's not true. We are also world citizens. We want to partake especially, and I personally feel, the black American male, the way he can possibly get treated in his own home, in his own neighborhood, in this country in general, to go to another country and experience the culture and not be hated and watch the women cater to him or want to be around him. That's an experience all men need to feel.
But see, represent what I say. I don't know why you dudes are doing that. I say this every time. Mr. Lee, haven't I been an advocate of men?
Come on. I want to see. I don't want to see a black square.
No, hold up. But haven't I been an advocate, Mr. Lee, of men going out, experiencing culture?
Yes, I would agree with
the passport movement. The passport movement is men going out and get some pussy. So I don't know why you gonna do that, Trigger Mike, and misrepresent what I'm saying.
I'm not even misrepresenting what you're saying, but we made it about sex.
Yeah,
we made it about sex solely. I wanted to bring it to the middle, to the culture.
But don't misrepresent what I say in that process. I'm with you.
I don't think I mentioned your statement when I made my statement.
Logic kind of disappoint me.
If we gonna put brothers on game, Logic, we got to do it all around. Let's give an example, like Medellin, Colombia, or any city in Colombia. If you want to get your teeth done, my parents were like other parents were broke, couldn't get braces when I was young. Here's the deal: you try to get your teeth done in the U.S., it's gonna cost you $40K. You go to Medellin, Colombia, you want to work, so it'll cost you maybe $75. That's the kind of stuff that you put up brothers onto. So if they there, they get their teeth done, they get them pearly whites. Guess what? Them women coming. Them baddies coming.
DMP just did a show on that 2 days ago.
Yeah.
He was touring and show you all the medical places where you can go, the dental places where you can go. He was giving a whole tour about that. And I think what we're not allowing brothers to have the breadth to be able to do is to grow and then to offer other services that these countries have available to black men. So they may start going there for sex, but they realize that my dollar goes longer over there. I can improve a lot of things about myself. I could get better health care. I can go over there and get my teeth fixed for 75, 7,500. I just got a full cleaning job. I've never had my shit this straight. I'm chewing seeds now. I'm eating apples with seeds. I'm crunching up
I'm
seeds.
right behind you, bro. I'm right behind you, Mr.
You know what I'm
Lee.
saying? I'm like, my teeth feel stronger than shit. I'm like, damn. So, I think the why question, I think it's a question that's a valid question, but I think we can't hold it over a man's head as some type of a deterrent for him not to be able to do something. Guys that went to the Playboy house, Playboy Mansion. I remember when I was young coming up in New York, there was a Playboy Mansion right midtown, like 58th Street or something near the east side. And as a teenager, I was able to access with a few other people. They had money and I was there. But the point is, we were there and there was all these Playboy bunnies. You went there, you drank, you ate, and then at night they have special events and you could take a girl if you want to take a girl, or you could go there and you meet women. There was Bond International. There were many places where young men, or at least like myself and others, were able to go to be able to, how can I say, cut their teeth on how to socialize and to meet women. In today's society, because women have taken control of how men would approach women, women are now controlling that. So the access for men to be able to learn how to cut their teeth and deal with women at a young age is restricted. If a woman don't like you and you approach her, you are basically harassing her. And if you're a young boy, you don't want to get labeled as some type of harasser to a woman. And if you're a young man just starting out and you're making a little money, but not much, but you have a taste for a certain type of attractive women, and you approach these women and they're looking at you like you crazy, and you're like, you ain't crazy. You're a good dude. Yep. And then you see on YouTube, guys are talking about, yo, man, come to Colombia, this chick will treat you right. And if you got game, you can have sex with them. And if you don't have game, you can purchase your box. Guys gonna be like, you know what? Let me see what that's all about. And I don't think we should restrict brothers from venturing out and falling on their feet and falling on their face and making errors. You learn by your mistakes. And you might pay for sex today, but it doesn't mean you're gonna pay for sex for the rest of your life.
But to what Trey was saying, right? I agree. Men should go out and travel and experience culture. But I'm going to tell you, this is the flaw what they do. Certain cities you go to is tourist attraction. You're not going to experience culture because you're going to go in there and then it's going to be a whole bunch of black dudes in there. That's why a lot of black people like to go to the little beach islands. They like to go to South America because when they go there, you might as well stay in America because you eat cheeseburger, you listen to 50 Cent. But if you really want to experience culture, get outside of them safe havens and go experience culture. But everywhere, look at most of the destinations that black people go to. They go to the same ones. As soon as you get there, you see a person in that country that's speaking the perfect language. They pass you a cheeseburger and they giving you a cup of Hennessy. I'm telling you, it's the same. You in a different location, but you have the same experience. I see when I was in South Korea, outside the major military base in South Korea.
Logic. Let me ask you this. Hold on one second. Wouldn't you think that is the indoctrination of American culture? That because many people in America think that they're so better than everybody else that they go to these countries and they look down on the culture. And so they want to stay in the 5-star hotel area where they are because they feel more comfortable. As I was saying, when I go to a new country, when I was in Panama, I got a taxi driver. This guy, his cousin worked at the Panama Canal, and they took me behind the areas where they open up the gates to let the the ships passed through, and they showed me the whole operation. They ran a vessel that was coming through, and I wasn't even supposed to be there. But if you get hooked up with a good cabbie, cabbies can show you the whole city, tell you where not to go, where the nice chicks at, where the place to shop, the nice restaurant, totally outside of the safe zone where, you know, the 5-star hotels are. But I think not all men always will develop that insight to be able to do that early. They may be afraid because they don't know the safety of the country yet, so they don't really want to know. They might get set up. You know, anything might happen. So brothers need to kind of get familiar with the lay of the land before they start stepping out. That's something that, I mean, I learned because I've been traveling since 1998, 32, 33 years now. So I have some experience. But young dudes going into different countries, and Colombia have a reputation of, you know, trafficking drugs for like fucking 30 years, 40 years. Yep. So, you know, guys are not going to just be running up in that country like that, man. They will snatch your ass up in a heartbeat.
Mr. Lee, when they go to these countries, right? When they go, I'm sorry, Trey, I'll shut up. When they go to these countries, it's not like they looking to see. They going to the club, and then they go to restaurants. They get cheeseburgers and French fries and goddamn hot wings. They literally doing the same thing that they do in America. It's just in another country around some different people. So I'm saying it's no cultural value there.
Well, here's
right,
why
that takes time, and I think we're accusing them for not doing something. That
Mr. Logic only traveled in the military. I guarantee you, I got more stamps on my passport than you had tax returns, nigga. So chill.
Well, Logic, I'll say this, bro. I just my last trip living overseas, I lived in Japan right before that big old hurricane in Houston. I was living in Japan for 6 months doing sales. This is not in the military. And bro, I speak Spanish. I don't speak no Nihongo, Japanese. And man, I lived in a city where I was the only Gaijin foreigner over there, not let alone brother. I was the only foreigner in this little city. Man, I would get on that train, go an hour and a half to Tokyo, up to Roppongi with an international district just to be around the Americans, the Ghanaians, the Filipinos that spoke English. Because even though it's safe over there, and I'm as based as they come, I hope I am. You know what I say, you know, I walk it like I talk it. But man, it's mentally stressful being around nothing but daggone people that's Japanese, look Japanese, speak Japanese for day after day. Your brain starts hurting. So
yeah, I've done that.
Yeah,
I've had that experience when I went to Japan.
Yeah, you want to be back around some English, and you go crazy.
Yeah, that is true. Now check this out, RBG, and I made a comment about the RGB group. The wrong cab driver will get you limed up or hemmed up, right? I mean, this is just fear mongering right there. The wrong cab driver in New York will take you out to Long Island City and get you hemmed up there too, bro. Trust me. I know New York. See, the thing is, you could in New York, Bed-Stuy, you could get hemmed up there quicker than any place else. In the Bronx, 178th Street and Tremont, please. I wouldn't even go up there unless I was packing with a crew. Man, please, man, stop this fear. You guys talk like females with slits.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Lee, they playing with these likes, man. Come on, y'all.
Get the likes up for real, man.
Drop a one in the chat.
Where are we looking on the likes?
Quit playing with these like buttons, man. Hit a like button and put a one in the chat. Y'all playing. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Lee.
No, go ahead. I just brought up Pablo. Yeah, y'all playing. Come on, Pablo. Welcome to Sage Talk. I think you and I had a little interaction the other day on Bernard's channel,
yes,
right?
Yes, we do. We've always had good conversations, Sage Talk. I appreciate you.
Not a problem.
But I am a certified passport bro.
So I guess you could talk to Mr. Logic's points of views.
And I want to give Mr. Logic an analogy that maybe he can understand so that maybe he can grasp, quote unquote, the why they are traveling, right? Let me give you an example. Have you ever been to Popeyes, Mr. Logic? Popeyes chicken.
I'm black, yeah.
Have you? I knew I would get you. I knew it. We're almost home.
Go ahead. Oh wait, you ain't get me. Half of the niggas on the panel been at Popeyes.
No, but I knew you would understand. That's why I put it right there where you could grab it. Now, have you ever been to Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, I've been to Chick-fil-A. Nah. Yeah, come with it. I got you. You know, I'm gonna play along. Yes, I've been to Chick-fil-A, sir.
Yes, you've been to Chick-fil-A.
Hey, Janae.
So you and I decide we want some chicken, right? We boys, we hanging out. We decide we want some chicken. Now, both Popeyes and Chick-fil-A have chicken. So this particular week, we decide we're gonna go to Popeyes. We drive to Popeyes, we get there, the line is long. It's disorganized, it's loud. We get to the front of the line, and the cashier and the people behind the counter act like we're bothering them that they came to work.
Mm-hmm.
We wait a long time. They finally give us our food. We're exasperated by the time we get it. We just ready to go. And so we grab our bags and we go.
Mm-hmm.
We get down the road, we open up our bag, and it's the wrong order.
Mm-hmm.
This is a typical Popeyes experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, we had bad customer service, and although we got our chicken, the experience was a poor customer service experience. We did not like how we were treated.
Mm-hmm.
So now, a few more weeks pass by, and we decide we want some chicken.
Mm-hmm.
This time, we go to Chick-fil-A. We go to Chick-fil-A. The line is just as long as it was at Popeyes. Only the line is moving swiftly, and it's very organized.
Mm-hmm.
We get to the front. They greet us with a smile.
Mm-hmm.
They say, thank you, Mr. Logic. We're happy to have you here. And you feel really good about it. And you get up to the front and you get your order.
Mm-hmm.
And you get your order is true and correct, and you drive away. You felt good about the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they don't always get your order right at Chick-fil-A. But even when they get the order wrong, you feel better about the experience.
Mm-hmm.
That is why they travel. They have a better overall experience.
All right. Now, can I add something to you?
Go ahead.
To change the dynamics. Popeyes is in our neighborhood. Chick-fil-A is 3,000 miles away. And we want some chicken. Even though we got bad customer service, but you telling me every time we want some chicken, you gonna drive 3,000 miles?
If you've had the bad experience, yes.
Mr. Pablo, I participated with you. Now, is that feasible for us to drive 3,000 miles just to get a chicken sandwich for a smile?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm finished.
Here's the
Logic. I'll say this. Logic. I'll say this.
Hold up, Mr. Lee. You don't say him.
Wait a minute.
It's his analogy, Mr. Lee. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Pablo.
Because although both places are selling chicken,
mm-hmm.
no one wants to be disrespected in the process.
Okay. So now.
So yes, I will pay more and be more inconvenienced to be considered.
No. Listen. You didn't hear what I said. Is it feasible?
Yes.
It's not feasible for everyone, but it is feasible for some.
But for those it's feasible for, it is. If I gotta drive across town, if I gotta drive farther to get to Chick-fil-A than I would for Popeyes, I will drive to Chick-fil-A to avoid the indignity.
Okay, so now, because we gotta, using your analogy, if this Chick-fil-A was right across the street, I would say I totally agree with you. You will go to an area that's feasible. But first off, your passport bros, right? What's the percentage? Yes. What's the percentage of Americans that even have passports?
It's a low percentage. I believe it's 20%. It was once upon a time, it was 20% of all Americans.
It's like,
as far as black people go, like it's even lower. It's in the single digits.
Okay. So now 35%, right? And then now let's include all these black men. This is not feasible.
No, not for everyone. Not for everyone. I did a video called "We're Alabama. We Don't Recruit."
Student body left, student body right.
Listen. This is what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
With you. But my point is, using your own analogy, if only 37% of people had access to that Chick-fil-A and Popeyes was right across the street.
Well, let those who can get, who that's all they can get. That's all they can get. I'm not trying to convince somebody that can't make it to Chick-fil-A to make it. What I'm saying is,
thank you.
If you are tired of going to Popeyes and being disrespected, then let me offer you Chick-fil-A down the road.
And guess
you
what?
Want to stop whining and complaining about how you being treated at Popeyes, because Popeyes gonna Popeye. They're gonna do what Popeyes do.
Some people will take the abuse their entire life.
Yeah.
And that's why I think also why black women don't change. Because like the brother was mentioning, you know, his wife has friends that are, you know, super BWs, and they've got guys that are Adonises in their DMs. And I think many black men have low expectation. And I think the fact that there are other black men who are now exercising the fact that, you know what, I don't have low expectation. I want something better. And I will travel the extra 3,000 miles to get something better. And I think it's ridiculous that some people say, you stupid as hell, man. You could get the same the same chicken right across the street. All you got to do is be patient and wait. But then when you be patient and wait, you get treated like a fool. And nobody after over time wants to be fully disrespected and not be appreciated. And when you travel for the first time and you get appreciated as a man, not because of nothing else, as a man, your rap game may or may not be up to par or whatever it is, but you walk away. There was a show I saw of one of the Passport Bros. This brother laid out a whole situation where he literally got drugged in the place where he was. Well, he got drugged, and when he got back to his hotel or his Airbnb, the chicks took advantage of him, took his shit. They tried to run, but they couldn't because where he was staying, he had to escort them out for them to be able to leave because they take their IDs. So the security went back up to his room to check to make sure he was okay, and they found him unconscious. They called the cops. They arrested the chicks. Well, they didn't get arrested. They just returned his shit back and they let him go. The point is, after all that, after the brother recovered and then he went out 2 days later to check out the rest of the country, and he said it was his fault because they even warned him. The restaurant warned him about those chicks, and the place where he lived, the Airbnb, the security warned him about those chicks. But he was caught up, I guess, with the attractiveness.
But you know what this shows about us too?
Let me finish. When he left, he said he can't wait to go back. And I think what this shows is that the level of disrespect that men get from women in America, a guy could go to another country, be freaking drugged, and even felt after he went out and met other women, felt that, you know what, I would rather come back here and deal with the risk of being drugged and deal with these women rather than stay in America.
Because the overall experience,
I think that's a hell of a testament.
He sounds like a trick. But this dude Pablo is telling our black men to travel 3,000 miles to get a goddamn chicken sandwich instead of doing one. Establish a new foundation for something new. Because if we go 3,000 miles to get a chicken sandwich, then we be going 3,000 miles for everything else. If we can't stand and fight for something,
let me ask you a question. Let me ask you this question, Mr. Logic. Why is it okay then? Why is it okay for immigrants from other countries to leave their countries, their countries when they lack economic power or educational opportunities, to come to our country and take advantage of what we help build? Why is it okay for them to come to us to get what they lack, but it's not okay for us to go somewhere else to get something culturally that we might be missing. Please explain to me why it's shameful for us, but it's okay for them.
First off, I didn't say it was shameful. I said, is it feasible?
For everyone,
well, it is
no.
feasible for
no, it's
some.
not feasible for everyone. It doesn't have to be.
Feasible.
Doing what you're asking is not feasible for everyone. It's not.
No. Doing what
but it's not. But it's not chicken. It's an allegory to women.
The chicken is an allegory. Yes.
Come on now. I mean, I guess I was born yesterday. Y'all don't think I understand. He mean chicken sandwich is a piece of pussy. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I understand that. But I'm telling you, the thing is them people don't come for all them other people you said come to this country. They don't come to this country for a piece of pussy. They come for
yes,
this.
they do.
Wait.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Let me finish.
Let me tell you why.
Wait. They come to this country for something that don't exist in their country.
It exists. They don't have access to it.
No. They look.
Private education exists because I've taught there for 8 years, and it's excellent education.
Okay,
and these kids get scholarships to travel all over the world, Europe, Japan, Australia. So I know. And we get international trade students from Italy that comes once for the senior class every year. So I know it does exist, but it doesn't exist for all.
Universities in South America. They got plenty of them.
They got university. You for real? They got universities in South America?
Of course.
Yeah, universities all
big
over.
ones.
I didn't know that, bro.
And millionaires and billionaires.
Look, I understand your point, but what I'm saying to you is listen to what you're saying. This if the reason they leaving is for a better opportunity. The reason you're leaving is for a piece of pussy. That's different. You're not leaving. You're not leaving for nothing else but a piece of pussy. And then wait. And then to your Chick-fil-A analogy, right? Just say you was to go to that Chick-fil-A, and every damn nigga over 6 months didn't touch that bag and bent that bag up. Is that good service? Niggas fingerprint all over your sandwich. Is that good service? Matter of fact, it's not. What you're doing, if you want to use that same Chick-fil-A analogy, that Chick-fil-A is woe the fuck out. Everybody, they mama done been in that Chick-fil-A. So now I'm just saying, what you're doing is you're telling men to go over there and fuck on reuse hoes. That's it.
Can I respond now? Can I respond now? Okay.
Sure, go ahead.
You're painting with such a broad brush, and you're hung up on sex. You just hung up on
the point that he's making.
And I just told you that it wasn't about the chicken. It was about the experience, and you missed it.
So it was about
it was about how you were treated. It wasn't about the chicken.
Okay, so at first I thought you said it was about the chicken. So you're saying now it's about the experience.
It's about
he did say the experience.
It's about being served. It's about being treated well. It has nothing to do with the chicken.
That's what he said.
Both places serve chicken.
Bruh, I'll tell you this. If we gotta go all these miles to get this,
it's not gotta go. It's wanna go. It's not gotta.
Okay. All right. So if we
let me ask you this, Logic.
Yes, sir.
When Christopher Columbus and these guys wanted to come to the new land, there were many people that were against it when he argued his case before King Ferdinand. But he was able to persuade King Ferdinand to give him the money to buy the ships so he can get the crew to come to the Americas. And what I'm saying is that if the guys who were against it had won, America would never exist. And what I'm saying is that we're making arguments like if we've got to, the reason why a man would determine 3,000 miles is a little for him to go to get the experience that he want out of life is because one, he's not getting it where he is. And it's become such a problem that now that I have the money, I'm willing to spend the money to get it. And not only in Central America or South America, I'll go to Africa. I'll go to the Far East. I'll go to the Arabian world. Wherever I can find it, I'm willing to take the risk. And I think that is the part that we're not evaluating. What is it about our cultural situation dynamic with our women? Why men? And it's going to become a situation where the men who can afford it will. The men who can't afford it stay and endure.
So I have one more question. And this is not for the gentlemen on the panel, but this is for the ladies. The ladies in this country need to ask themselves this question. Why is a foreign whore better than an American girlfriend?
Now, I can agree with you on that.
I know logic like that fucking statement.
No, but I said that earlier. I said that earlier, Mr. Lee. Y'all going over there to get hoes.
Yeah, but the question, the way he posed it, I think that was pretty damn good.
Hey, no, but you know what? It should be, but I'm just saying, look, the bigger picture of it. And Mr. Lee, to your point about Christopher Columbus, he came over here, he stayed. So Christopher Columbus was a passport, bro. He came here, he staked his claim, and he stayed, and he built a nation.
But guys are moving out and staying.
All right, but Mr. Lee,
some guys went back to Spain. Some guys went back to Portugal.
Yes,
Not everybody came,
but
some guys came and they saw the opportunity.
Mr.
Not
Lee,
every man that goes to the South America will see the opportunity. Some guys are just gonna go for the newness of it, for the experience. They're gonna go, they're gonna come back, they're gonna be like, all right, I'm good. And they're gonna deal with the chicks here in the United States, and they're gonna have their life. And they're gonna make it. They're like, you know what? I can't adjust to that Spanish shit.
But I agree. If you go over there, right? Like I encourage everybody to get a passport, especially men. Go over there, see what it's like. Because a problem with black men today is most of us haven't flown airplanes. You can look at the stats on that. Most of us don't got passport. Most of us don't have access outside our city. We consider a vacation going to the big city or going to Six Flags. So we need to get that experience.
Virginia Beach.
Yeah, or something like that within state. We need to get that experience because we need to be able to see other blueprints, how other cultures operate. So now, if black men get out and see what it is to offer out there, they can come back and now they can create a standard and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this. I said on a podcast before, you know what, it's certain things that I learned in Kosovo. It's certain things that I learned in Egypt. It's certain things I learned in Abidjan. It's certain things I learned everywhere I went. I was able to pull some out of these cultures. And that's the way I think now. But if I was just staying in Atlanta, didn't leave Atlanta, maybe went to Six Flags, maybe went to Birmingham, then I would have that mentality. And that's why black men, our standards are so low because we're not exposed to nothing. So I'm with the Passport Bros movement, but I'm just saying, to me, it seemed like more of a simp movement when you telling niggas to go travel to get a piece of pussy. But I understand your thing about experience, the culture experience, understanding, hey, look, you need to up your standard. Tell these hoes, you know what I'm saying? I can now.
The only way they can up their standards is if they can experience a higher standard. Because they have such a myopic experience in America, they only know one standard. And the females have set the standard to where they want it. So the men don't even know that there are other standards out there. So I think the fact that black men are really just coming into their freedom. They've just been one man here, one man there, like you, myself, Pablo, and different guys who have traveled, but as a wave, as a community, as a generation, a part of a generation, just making moves like that have not been seen before. And my concern is that I don't want that to be snuffed out. I want them to travel. The motivation as to why at the moment is irrelevant as long as they do. And that's my perspective.
This why I don't like niggas, Mr. Lee. You see that? Hey, nigga, I guarantee you I travel more than your mama got stretch marks. How about that? And you know she got a whole lot of
that type of ignorance, you don't have to respond.
But Logic, I do love you.
651 MIT. Welcome to Sage Talk. How you doing, brother? What's your comment?
I have to agree with Logic. Like, I just started traveling maybe 10 years ago, And you can't just go to another country and don't leave the grounds of the hotel and just getting pussy and don't see the whole country. You can't go to Panama and not go see the canal. You can't go to Ecuador and not see the equator.
Rainforest.
When you go to these different countries, yeah, if you're trying to get the pussy, yeah, that's fine. But you got to see the whole country. You can live on a hotel in another country and still be in America. You can go and eat the hamburger, the cheeseburger. They speak English, but you're not living that country lifestyle.
Yeah,
so
but you guys got to give the guys some grace. They can't do that all in one trip. Sometimes you got to take 3 or 4, 5, 6 different trips.
Hold on, you cut me off. You can do all of that. You can get the pussy when you at these different countries.
But you're not going to do that in your you're not going to do that in your first trip or your first 2 trips.
How many days?
Or even your first 3 trips.
How many? Listen. I travel a lot. When I go to countries,
so you have experience, right?
Wait, I didn't always have experience.
I'm asking you a question. Let's have a dialogue.
Okay.
So you have experience. You have experience.
I didn't always have. I wasn't in the military.
I'm not making that accusation. I'm just
Okay.
asking you. You have experience.
Yes.
Okay. A young man who grew up in the hood, whether it's New York, California, Chicago, DC, all he knows is his community. He's never been in the military. He's never traveled nowhere with a group of guys that can kind of give him the lay of the land. He's on his own the first time, traveling to a country, let's say Brazil. They speak Portuguese. He doesn't know the language. He knows there's the favelas. It's a dangerous area if you don't know who to move with. You hear things. You know from if you go on the United States embassy's website, they'll tell you about the different countries or where you plan to go, the safety levels and things of that nature. So he's not going to go out there and be Mr. Gung-Ho, because if something happened to him, the first thing people are going to say, he was a damn fool. So he needs to kind of get his feet familiar with the terrain. It will take him several trips to go to that country to, 1, get comfortable there, 2, meet people who he can talk to, develop a relationship with, who can give him good advice on where to go and where not to go. Over time, he's going to build that experience that you're talking about. Then when he go to a second country and a third country, it's going to be faster for him to get more acclimated with each country he expand his into his territory or to his portfolio of traveling. Wouldn't you say that? Or have that been your experience? Or do you just go out into every country that you go to automatically?
Well, this is the era of social media. My first country I went to, it was St. Lucia. And I was just on Facebook, and I was just asking people on Facebook where you can and cannot go. That was my first experience. And as over time, you meet people, you go on social media, you travel with other people, and it's actually easier now than it was when I first started traveling. Like, you kind of know, I feel more threatened when I travel in different states and different cities. Like, if I'm going to DC, I feel more threatened because, somebody might say that's a safe area, but then it might be a dangerous area. So when I go to other countries, I'm looking for the main spots, and I'm looking for like places where I can go and see this scenery and see there, but I'm not staying on no hotel.
Do you travel as far as a tourist? Do you like a tourist package? You get a tourist package from your?
No, I backpack and I do hostels.
Okay.
I do.
You're an adventurer, and you are accusing men who are not adventurers that they should be more like you.
No. I didn't say that. I didn't say that, Mr. Lee. What I'm saying is what Logic's saying. You can't just go to a country. Like, I think it's foolish to go to a country, stay on a hotel, fuck hoes all day, and then fly back home. I think
agree.
That's foolish.
I agree.
But let me ask you a question.
That's what I'm saying.
Let me ask you a question. Okay, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. What if that is his budget for that trip?
If he could travel overseas, he could spend money to go out.
No. I'm asking you, what if that is all his budget for his traveling overseas can afford.
Well, he need to go and save some more money then.
And get a hostel.
But everyone have a first trip, right? Everyone has a first trip. Not everybody is going to go on a first trip and take 10 grand. Not everybody's going to have 5 grand as a spending
Mr. Lee,
account, right?
You know how much
the guy may not even have a credit card. He just have debit card. So he's traveling with his cash in his pocket, and he's got his debit card in case some go wrong or he need a little extra money. He can tap in, go to the bank, or go to the ATM and get exchange money, either dollars or local currency, right?
Mr. Lee, my trips are the most cheapest trip because I don't do hotels. I do hostels.
Because you are experienced.
But I always had to build up to that. I have to agree with you. My first couple of trips I did the hotel. I actually spent more money. But as you're right about the expense. Yeah, you're right.
Can I ask Mr. Pablo something, Mr. Lee?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, so I'm with the focus of it, right? Mm-hmm. I just don't think it's a true agenda. Do y'all Passport Brothers got a travel club?
We have several Facebook groups, yes.
No.
And several groups and several group WhatsApp groups that we participate in.
No.
We have a network. We have a network, yes.
What? No. A travel club that, like, you know, when you get involved, you say, okay, every time we fly, we find Delta so they can get their freaking fly miles. And then y'all pick a hotel branch like Hilton. Like, do y'all have an official travel club?
Yes, we have. BMT has done several travel groups. Charles Tyler, before his passing, had a what they have in Brazil called Zumbi Fest, where he had groups of black men here from the U.S. come down, and they had Zumbi Fest, and they had a beach festival on Copacabana in Rio. So the answer to your question is yes.
Yeah, and see, I think now, in that case, I'm with it now because it means more than just going to get some pussy. But if y'all have a travel club, I'm game. Like, I will go, and you know what I'm saying? Because now, when we have a jit like, what's the boy name who just left here? Define G, right?
Yeah, Definite G, yeah.
Yeah. So now you can leverage things. So, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, if you traveling overseas like that and you're spending thousands of dollars on a plane ticket, you know what I'm saying? You know, with Delta Sky Miles, your third flight will be free.
Here, let me tell you what BMT did.
Matter of fact, BMT, they're developing an app, right?
Yes, he's developing an app
for hotels, airlines.
Yes, and for the types of information that the brother that just said he used hostels that he is talking about to give you the wheres and where not to goes, the preferred restaurants and places to rent a car or motorcycle or whatever you need. He's developing an app for all of that, specifically for black male travelers. Yes.
See, this is why I think it's important though, because now you got young jits that you can persuade to get passports. You know what I'm saying? And you can persuade and you put something forward, right? So it's more than just pussy. Like, go ahead, get your pussy nut all over them hoes. But at the end of the day, the stuff that the other part that Mr. Lee was talking about, they can also get that experience.
But like Logic, here's my question. Why do I have to explain all of that for you to believe we just not all whoremongers?
No, listen, cause look, I'm not deep into the passport bro game, right?
Okay, but your assumption was to put out in the ether, to put out in the public is that, oh, they all just traveling for pussy. Until I came up here and I enunciated and enumerated all of the different things that these men are doing that are organized. You just said we were just whoremongering. Or they just going for pussy.
No, listen, stop. You didn't understand what I said. You first came up here with some chicken sandwiches, right? And then after you got past your chicken sandwich, right? Then we further had the conversation. I asked you the question. You didn't ask me. You didn't put out no information. I asked you. See, if you would have came up here and said, no, it's bigger than that, and you said what you just said right now, you know this whole conversation would have been cleaner. But you came up here about a pussy sandwich, and now you get mad at me because I'm going to address your pussy sandwich. But now what you just said right now, I can agree with.
Why I can't have a pussy sandwich if a man want a pussy sandwich?
You can have a pussy sandwich too, but now you just told me you just told me you gonna give me a you just said
I need a pussy sandwich. I like pussy sandwich. There's nothing wrong with having a pussy sandwich.
What you offer me, Mr. Pablo, is you offer me more than a pussy sandwich. And that's what you didn't come up here and offer me more than a pussy sandwich.
Okay, initially I didn't offer you more than a pussy sandwich.
No, you see, soon as you had explained
that, get you in with something.
Hold up. When you explained that, did I give you any pushback, Mr. Pablo?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Okay, so then maybe you need to lead with that next time instead of pussy sandwich.
All right.
I like the fact that he led with the pussy sandwich and made the conversation more interesting. Hey, Logic, this guy here, Rolex Sean, he's asking what platform are y'all on? Is he talking about here at Lapeef, or is he asking something more personal if he want to know if I have my own channel? I'm not interpreting that correctly.
Yeah,
Maybe
we don't got our own channel. We Lapeef.
Okay, we Lapeef, brother.
Hey, Mr. Pablo, what's your Facebook
why don't
travel
you
group
put
name?
the link to Lapeef in the chat, Logic? So
What's your travel group called on social media?
I am Pablo Frescobar here on YouTube, and you can also find my Facebook group, the Passport Bros and Open Forum. That's a Facebook.
Okay.
There's also BMT Travels.
BMT Travels. There's One Master Teacher. It's a gang of us. Barber World TV. I like to shout out those guys. Those are the real pros.
Hold on. Before you advertise, you better hit the super chat. This free advertising. What's wrong with your damn thing?
Super chat. Hit the super chat.
Pablo, what's wrong with you, man?
But yo, guys, I gotta go. And Mr. Logic, man, I love you over there on Lapeef, man. I love your takes over there. You it's nice to actually talk to you, man.
No, look, man. If you could hit me up with that travel group shit, because I think Lapeef need a travel group, not for pussy, but like I think it's important for the exposure. And I've been saying something and I ain't got time. I'm working, but I'm about to quit though. But I think that Lapeef need a travel group. Like that's important. That's important for all our conversations, everything we do.
Next level.
Yeah.
Ash
right,
says, Mr. Lee, great show. Retired USAF, did many tours overseas, Germany, Italy, Korea, England, UAE, Qatar, etc. Highly encourage Black men to travel overseas if looking for a higher quality of women. No doubt. Thanks a lot for the comment.
I bet he got a lot of foreign pussy. I'm sorry, Mr. Lee. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. That's good. Hey, Hank, good afternoon, brother. How you doing? Welcome to Sage Talk. Hey, I want us to settle down. You're just going to have a few minutes because I want to keep the show to a schedule, no more than 4 hours, and we're at that mark right now.
Right on, big brother. I just come in and show my support like always, man. Somehow I keep on catching the tail end of the show, but that's how it is sometimes. But
hey, it's better to get in than not.
You're never lying, but it's the conversation very interesting. Now, I love to travel, but I'm not doing it for no ass, but I'm doing it for the experience. So I mean, but I'd still like to hear some of the stories, not necessarily about the women, but just the country alone. So give me some ideas on maybe some other places I would like to travel. So
let me ask you: did you see
do that in that group or whatever?
Did you see Passport Heavy's? I think it's like 45 to 50 minutes promo that he did the other day for actually for Belize. He did all the keys, Key Coca, what's the other one? San Pedro, and I forgot the other key. But he did 3 keys, and he did the mainland and a couple of the islands surrounding the mainland. I think if you check that out, that brother be doing some very high quality level promos. He does everything from the United States. He does, the Philippines. He does Asia. He does Mexico. He just did Belize. And what he shows, his channel is really not about sex at all. It's really about the experience and the quality of life and what those countries have to offer, especially if you're a successful brother and you're looking to travel the world. And if you didn't come from the military, it's good to have some insight from a Black perspective on how you're received and what are some of the best places you can patronize, right, as you go overseas. So I think one of the things I don't want us to do is just narrow it down to the few men who are traveling for sex. And we know those are young men. So there's nothing, a young man's rod is hard 24/7. If you can remember your days before you cross 30 or 40, you know a young man's rod is hard 24/7. I knew mine was. So I'm not going to try to, to shame a young man because he want to wet his shit. And if he got to spend a little money to travel overseas and get some foreign, some foreign juice, dip it. Dip your dipstick in that foreign oil.
I know,
but you know what it's going to give him? It's going to give him the experience. So when he come back and he deal with his sister, now he's not horny, he's not stressed, he's not pressed, and he could talk to that woman like, okay, my shit is good. I know what it's like now, and he can flow as opposed to always be under pressure and every third word out of his mouth is a piece of ass, and the girl is looking at him like, he's a desperate, horny motherfucker. Get out of my face. You know what I mean?
Hey, Miss Lee, don't be talking about my man Logic like that, man. Dang.
Nah, Logic is cool.
You're
muted.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Mr. Lee, I was in Punta Pilar in the Philippines, right? And then, as soon as they find Americans, I find out Americans in a hotel, bitches just be in the lobby and in the bar and shit, right? And I be like, look at these thirsty hoes, man. Look, for the dudes who do it, cool. But like I said, if we're talking about the aspect, like the dude explained it's more than pussy. So I'm going to take his word. But
I will say this, right? There's a restaurant in New York. Not sure if it's still open, but back in my day, it's called 4040s. And 4040 on Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, it was a restaurant, but it had music and it had nothing but chicks there. Beautiful, attractive black women. But one of the reasons that it was so heavily patronized is because one of our famous rappers was the owner, and there always used to be baller dudes there.
Mm.
And he's
I'm with it though. I'm saying, like, if the passport bro said,
K know what it is. K know what it is.
Bro say, you know what? We're gonna take advantage of this whole passport shit, right? And then they establish a club, right? I'm game. I'm really game. I'm game for something more.
There are definitely guys looking to do that.
He didn't want to admit it, but his analogy fell on his head when he said, you traveling 3,000 miles to get a goddamn chicken sandwich. Like, maybe I'm slow, but look, I'm not traveling 3,000 miles to get a chicken sandwich. If I got to travel 3,000 miles to get a good service, you know what I'm just not going to do? I'm not going to go. I'm going to cook from home. I'm going to do something else. I just won't be eating no chicken sandwiches. But I'm with it, though. But now, if he said, hey, let's establish some type of stronghold where we can benefit off of it, it got to be more than just a piece
Logic,
of
you have to realize it takes time to establish that. You can't just fly into a country and meet with the Ministry of Agriculture or the Ministry of Land for expats or whatever, and they're going to segment out you to be able to just purchase land in their country like that. You have to kind of warm your way around. You got to meet different people. You need people to speak on your behalf that this is a good dude. Mm-hmm. He bring investments. This is what he's potentially going to bring to the country. We're going to be able to develop hotels. There's have to be a package behind it.
Hey, Mr. Lee. Hey, they going crazy in chat. Look at it. He said, pussy sandwich fly. Look. Hey, if I see the passport bros again, I'm gonna make a whole emoji with
shout out to the pussy sandwich
on the wing. Like, hey, I'm gonna control the shit out of the passport bros. Now, my new logo gonna be 757 with two big ass chicken sandwiches on the wing, and it's gonna be Passport Bros Airlines.
Come on, man. You know good, Logic. You know good like a motherfucker.
Hey, man. Speaking of Belize, that's where I'm going at next year. So I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I'm gonna have to Now, what was you saying? Was it a video on YouTube that you was talking about that he talks about beliefs?
I'll drop you the link because I don't want to go too much into it here on the
Okay.
Lapeef Network because I don't know how freely I can actually express my point of view on
if you give
other
me
people's channels.
some information.
Drop your email or something in the back chat, and I'll just go ahead and drop it to you after we get off.
Yes, sir.
Because I have it marked.
Belize is a nice country.
Yeah, definitely. I've got land over there. How are you, sir?
Good. How about yourself?
Okay. What's happening? Talk to me.
I am a passport bro. I am in BMT, Black Man Travel, and also Black Man's Options with the late Charles Tyler and Al Grease. I think brothers should get their passport and explore, man. I think it's about 4% of straight Black men in America actually have their passport and actually travel outside the country. So I think that's a very important thing for brothers to do. They said the 3 most important investments a man will ever make in his life is a house, a car, and a woman he sleeps with, or the woman he marries. So if a woman is going to be such an expensive investment, why not go out and see your best options? Like Kevin used to always say, like put yourself in your child's place. Wouldn't you want your son to get the best option he can get? And then also there's a lot of stuff they talk about in BMT, man. Guys don't just travel for females. There's some brothers I believe like a year and a half ago bought 100 acres outside of Medellin. They're trying to build their own black city in Colombia. I had a bunch of guys that I work with. A lot of them have never left the country. I got them all up. I got them to go to Colombia. We all got our teeth cleaned. A lot of them had a bunch of problems they didn't know about, dental wise. I had them get checked out in hospitals and so on and so forth. Because Black men are scared of going to hospitals here. They're also talking about on the BMT live stream a couple of days ago. A brother had colon cancer. After copay, his it was going to be about like $12,000 in the U.S. He went to Colombia and got the same surgery for $1,200. I'm actually going back to Colombia next month to go check with a dentist about getting braces, because here in America after copay you're looking almost $5,000.
Well, nigga, you need to get MedLife then. I don't know what you got. You need to get MedLife.
No, it's just because I'm self-employed, so I don't have like normal dental and healthcare. It's very expensive for me. So why not just go to Colombia and pay a stack and get it done with no copay?
Yeah, but you still gonna have to get them tightened up. So what are you gonna do when you need to do your visit? You gonna fly over again?
I live in Miami. Colombia's an hour and a half from me, man.
Okay.
So it's a $200 flight for me. So it's not even an issue. So,
it's a $200 flight to Colombia
from Miami, round trip.
Damn.
That's cheaper than going to California from New York.
Well, exactly. Hold up, because I don't trust these YouTube niggas. I'm checking it right now.
I'm telling you, the max you probably pay is about $300, but going to Colombia, DR, Mexico, Costa Rica is about $200 from Miami. Damn. Especially starting next month. I know the prices are a little bit high in the summer months.
So one-way ticket when I fly to Dallas.
Yeah, so if you check in September, October, going to Colombia is $200 from Cartagena to go to Cartagena, Medellin. So
what's the results, Logic? What's the results, Logic?
I don't really travel for women, man. Like when I travel to different countries, I go for the attractions. Like when we were in Medellin, I went to the Pablo Escobar tour. I went to Comuna 13. I went to Guadalupe and El Peñon to see the different mountains. I went and tried different restaurants like Sweet Georgia Cafe. There's also a lot of brothers that are setting up establishments in these countries. Like I was in Cartagena. I went to Palenque. I went to Playa Blanca. There's a brother in BMT that's buying up condos in Cartagena, and he's buying them cash and renting them out to brothers in the group. And then he's also trying to get brothers to come to Colombia to get dental work done and also invest in condos there. You can get a condo in Colombia for $30,000, paid off all cash. And then if you can find a way to get citizenship, you can also buy land. So these are a lot of things that people aren't talking about. The cost of living is very cheap. Even if you just want to rent an apartment, you can get a high-rise condo apartment for anywhere between $400 and $600 a month with utilities included. You're never going to find that here in America unless you're living like somewhere in the middle of nowhere in the Midwest.
My man, let me ask you this: why haven't you moved over since you're self-employed?
Because I have to be here, but I'm working on something right now. But a bunch of my friends and I are thinking about buying condos in Colombia in the next 2 years, man. Definitely sometime, maybe the end of next year. But we're figuring it out right now. But I want to buy something in Medellin and Cartagena where I can Airbnb while I'm not there.
Okay, 1 second. I want to bring this up right here. This guy says, I guess it's BJ Tight 98. Mexican government said they tired of expats. Now, you know who the expats he's talking about there?
Yeah. A lot of people moved there during COVID and never left, so the price of living went skyrocket, especially in
those are the white people from California.
Yep. And Canadians too.
A lot of times too, one of the things that we have to really put into proper perspective is that a lot of times when Europeans travel overseas, they travel with that white entitlement of America, and they act that way like America owns their country. I think as black men, if we travel and we respect the people in their homeland and give them their respect in their homeland and not travel with that entitlement that I'm better than you, idea, you will find that you have a much better relationship in the country and with the people. If you come across like you're better, they're just going to take your money and can't wait to get rid of you. And that's how Americans overall have left their impression across the world. Because when you're in foreign countries, especially Latin countries, whether you're white or black or otherwise, they refer to you as gringo. You're a gringo. A gringo basically just means you're a foreign American, right? So the first time they called me a gringo, I was like, I ain't white. They were like, you gringo. So,
Mr. Lee, he ain't no $300 ticket. They cheap, but ain't no $300.
Now look, I'm going to Medellin next month. The flight for me to go to Medellin is $247 round trip from Miami.
What are you flying? What you flying on a boat?
Nah, American Airlines.
Well, I don't like American Airlines. So, all right, y'all hear this, man? Y'all better go to Colombia for that price. I don't know. It might be worth getting a piece of pussy.
Get your teeth done, and in the meantime, get a chicken sandwich.
I know, right? Hey, you might as well get your teeth clean, eat that pussy, and knock down a chicken sandwich.
Actually, when I went to the dentist there last time, they did a better job than the dentist here because I went there only to get my teeth clean, but they end up finding a cavity, and then they also end up fixing my crown when I actually went to the dentist a month before. And I'm like, so I spent almost $1,000 going to the dentist here in America. When I went to Colombia and paid $120, they fixed my crown, they cleaned my teeth, and they fixed my cavity.
So was that other guy saying it was true? Like y'all got true travel club with benefits, or y'all just individually doing it?
We all speak in the travel groups about who's going to be where in such and such times and ask about things to do and who wants to meet up. They're developing an app right now where everybody can go on and get benefits. But there's a lot of brothers that are in the group that have established businesses in these countries like DR, Colombia, and Brazil. There's a Flip Flop in DR. He has a restaurant there. There's another brother in the group that also has another restaurant in DR. There's another brother that he has a restaurant in Medellin, and then there's another brother just set up a Jamaican restaurant in Rio, and there's another brother that set up another Caribbean restaurant in Sao Paulo. So,
hey, man, look, put your email in the back chat. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I take Lapeef to goddamn Colombia and fuck all y'all hoes. You better have
all the chicken sandwiches. Everybody's eating chicken sandwich tonight.
I know that's right.
You got to put your order in, Hank. You might be left out. You know, Logic. He gonna want 2 or 3 sandwiches.
Yeah,
I heard about your Logic.
I actually went to Brazil with $1,000 and I came back with $600, man, and I was there for 9 days.
No freaking way. The exchange rate is only 7 to 1, 8 to 1. The real.
One American dollar there is about like $5.40, but everything is so cheap. A lot of brothers eat. Well, not necessarily brothers. A lot of people there eat at buffets, but if not, there are restaurants there. a meal is no more than between $5 and $8.
That's true.
And that's for a lot of food.
Well, look here, I'm trying to wait for Cuba to get their shit together so I can go over and visit them. That's why I want to go in there.
Cuba is real confusing because Cuba has 3 currencies. They have the local currency, then they have the Cuban American dollar, and then you have the American dollar. So if you don't know which price they're telling you, usually they give you the Cuban price, but you're paying with the Cuban American exchange, and you're paying like double or 3 times the money. So Cuba is still very tricky with the money. You got to be careful.
Actually, Cuba just they're running on one currency now. I just watched a bunch of YouTubers. A few of them have been there in the last couple months. They dropped the one currency, and then also you can go the regular route and get your 1 to 25. But if you go to the bodegas in Cuba, they'll give you more. They give you $100 for every $1 American dollar because they're saving the money to leave the country.
See, that's one thing. You got the black market exchange, and then you get the bank exchange. And that's pretty much all of these countries because Guatemala is the same. Okay, guys, I want to thank you guys for participating on Sage Talk today. It was a very lively topic. Thank you, Logic, for stepping in because I always value your perspective, and you bring an element of humor to the conversation as well.
Mr. Lee, you always your chicken sandwich.
Yeah. You got to reserve me. I want a double-decker sandwich, baby. Yeah. I want 2.
I might even get some bacon put on it for you, Mr. Lee.
I don't eat pork, but I'll take 2. Oh, man. I want to thank the chat. You guys were engaging. A lot of people was hitting on me today. You know, I appreciate it, though, but my skin is a little tough, so I can take it. Don't worry about it. Keeps me sharp anyway. Hank, thank you for stepping up. Chad the Great, welcome. Appreciate it. Logic, appreciate you, brother. And we'll talk again. All right. JR, take us out.
JR sleep. Oh, there you go.
Okay, Logic. Later, bro.
Later, Mr. Lee.